her smile, but it don't hit right. Your laugh still echoing through my nights. She wears your perfume, though she don't even know. Every time she's close, I feel you in her glow. The bed's too cold, even when she's there. I can't hold her without my mind everywhere. Your fingerprints still stain the walls, constant memories of you through it all.
What is going on, everybody? Hopefully having an amazing doggone Sunday. Listen, if you're not having an amazing Sunday, you need to turn that frown upside down. We're about to be doing some big things. So we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to give a couple of minutes here to make sure everything is running smooth, make sure there's no problems, complications, and get the ball rolling here. Also, I need a chat. Where the heck's my chat at? Let's move this over here. Let's see here. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. I forgot about those comments. I love some people. All right, I need to make sure I've got my chat open. So if you're chatting, I apologize. Listen. Let's add the chat box, which should be right here. Booyah. Chat is open. Refresh chat. We're good there. We're going to create the chat. And make sure the chat is working. It appears to be working. Awesome. Outstanding. We're going to be going over a series of different things today. One of the big things that I get a question about is always, how do we create a podcast? So we're going to be doing that. There was a couple of people that wanted to see this, so let me make sure that they know. Ba, 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 ba. Create a podcast. Bam. All right. We're going to be looking at how to create a podcast, or how I create a podcast anyway. And to give everyone an idea, I've kind of changed how I do it a little bit. Go ahead and close some of this stuff down. I don't need any of this stuff. Let's jump in this format first, at least for now. So I'm going to kill some of my audio down. There we go. Now it's not overwhelming. Let's see. What is it that I've not created? So what I've done is there was a series of videos that I took down from my channel, not because they were bad videos, it was just newer stuff. So some of the newer stuff, to give you guys kind of an idea, this is all the videos that I took down on my channel. And the reasoning for that, like I say, this was early on. You got to remember, I started my podcast in early 2013. And some of the audio stuff I left up because it doesn't really affect my channel. But like some of this stuff, and which let me actually go to the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. This is my YouTube channel here. So if you look, there was like the Lizzie Borden episode, the Ohio State Reformatory, and big numbers. If anyone that would have looked, there's Kales. What up, Kelly? Anyone that would have watched this stuff early on, though it did extremely well, a lot of it was audio, or the quality just wasn't necessarily where I wanted it to be. And if you look, this was 100% an audio file. And it came straight from basically from my podcast, my audio version of the podcast. Because when I first started, everything was audio. There was literally no video. No video. So in the early days, we kind of changed some of that up. So what I've done is I've moved everything over to a video format. I've been doing that now for probably, well, this would have been video, right? Yep. So the devil made me do it. That was January. So it's probably somewhere around mid-January. That was probably when I made that change. So that change was basically made because for YouTube is much better. They were good, just not as good as where you are now. Yeah. And you know, that's going to be anyone. Anytime that you got a YouTube channel, there's going to be some extreme growth. Now, the crazy thing is, in the very beginning, like these two videos did extremely well, 30,000 views respectively each, which was Lizzie Borden and the Ohio State Reformatory. Now, the thing was, I think a big reason why a lot of those did really well, in which even if you look at the like ratios, I mean, 118, 24 people didn't like it. What's wrong with you 24 people that didn't like it? Whatever. And this one respectively 113 to 19 people that did not like it. But it was all audio, and I think a lot of that just came from people that was looking this subject matter up. Lizzie Borden, that's a hot one. Everyone loves some Lizzie Borden action. But anyway, I took those off of my YouTube channel. So in the course of like one day, I think I lost 100 and some thousand views. Where did my, hello, Windows, where are you at? Not that, this one. This is what I want. We're going to close that. I don't need that. I don't need this. That comment cracks me up, boys. So we're going to move this over here. So I'm going to be showing you guys today kind of what I do when I'm building a podcast now, which is significantly different than what I did back then. And a lot of what I did back then was not necessarily bad. It was just, it's different. You got to change everything up. Everything has to be in a format now that I understand and I think that works. And it's mostly true. And as you can see, I already have two that's going to be built, which is the Lizzie Borden. I'm going to be redoing that with video in the Sally house. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, this is Notebook LM. And what Notebook LM is basically a place where you can put all your thoughts and you can start building anything. It doesn't have to be a podcast. It could literally be anything. In fact, it has a built-in podcast creation tool that you can use. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a brand spanking new Notebook LM. And I'm just going to look one more time at what stories I've not covered. We're going to do something new. So I've already started creating the Lizzie Borden one. The Ohio State Reformatory is more of a location, so probably not that. The Ammons family haunting is probably another one that would be good. The Donovan family haunting. Man, I would love to get Andrea Perrin on. I just can't get her on. This one has a huge story that's broke probably within the last, I don't know, I would say the last year or so. But I don't feel like I want to cover that much. That's a lot. That's a huge story in the background running on that one. Estefania story, that was a good one. The Annabelle, I just don't want to necessarily deal with the Ed and Lorraine Warren peeps. I don't want to deal with them right now. Snedeker family, that's going to be the same thing. Doris Biller, kind of the same thing. This was a great one. The Mann family haunting, I love that one too. Now what's funny, because I took all these videos down, it's going to look like I killed my YouTube channel probably if I go to like Social Blade. Social Blade. Super curious how many I lost, how many views I lost on my YouTube channel. I think I lose the watch time also, which kind of sucks. We want retraced echoes. Dang, I lost 100 and some thousand. I went from a B- to a C+. Look at this. Total video views for the week. Look at that, 129,000. So yeah, I lost 131,000 views. Paul's getting his couch. Oh snap, Paul is on it. That's what I'm talking about, Paul, getting your couch done. Yeah, so I lost 131,000 views, but I think overall it will help my channel to get rid of some of that old content, come in with some new. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to recreate. I'm looking for something that might be fun to do. I've already got this one. I think what we're going to do is the Ammons family haunting. So we're going to bring the Ammons. Your views will build back up. Oh yeah, I'm not worried about views. I've never been worried about views. That's just not really my thing. I know a lot of people do, but for me, it's just not a huge deal. I just want to create good content. That's what I've always wanted to do, or what I deem good content. But you know, this is going to be the year. It's going to be a change anyway. We're doing things significantly different than how we've done them in the past, and how we will continue to do them in the past, or in the future, from what we did in the past, should I say. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do the Ammons family haunting. So this is, if I was to do a podcast now, what I would do, I need two separate sets of windows here. So I'm going to move this one over here. Ammons family haunting. You know what, but you guys aren't going to be able to see some of this, so maybe I will bring it over here. So if I do Ammons family haunting, the first thing I do now is I always just do a straight Google search. I just see, hey, what's the Google machine say is out there, in which Wikipedia is always amazing because it kind of gives you the breakdown of what a group or a large group of people think. And the beauty of Notebook LM, I can take this address, I can go into link, I drop the link in here, insert. Now what it's going to do is it's going to take all that information, it's going to piece it in one spot. And you can have up to 50 sources in Notebook LM. Is that the one Haunting in Connecticut 2 is based on? I don't know. I probably should know that, but I don't know that. I just don't know it. I know that this is the one, there was a Netflix documentary that was on. I forget what they called it. Now, since we've got this in here, let's say that's all I had. We've talked about probably half. Listen, my memory's not what it used to be, okay? If it was longer than like 10 minutes ago, I've probably already forgotten what I was talking about. So, just saying. But technically right now I could build a study guide, a briefing doc. I could have a facts page or a timeline if I just wanted to have it be about the Ammons haunting just by itself, just the Wikipedia. But obviously we want more than the Wikipedia. So next thing I'm going to do, I already know this case, so I'm not going to read through a lot of this. But this is more along the lines of what I do. So there's also an indie star, The Exorcism of LaToya Ammons. And this is where it gets a little tricky. Now, this was wrote all the way back in 2014. That's when this webpage came out. Oh, no. Did I close it? I thought that was the ad. Okay, so this is wrote by what appears to be a news at that point. So they was trying to obviously get their clicks. You know what? I think this is in Indiana, right? Carolina Street in Gary. Isn't Gary, Indiana? I feel like that's Indiana. So the Connecticut thing would not work. Or is it? I should know this. Hold on. Where's this news out of? Oh, Indy 500. But that doesn't mean it's from Indianapolis. Hold on. I should know where this took place, but I did this one a long time ago. So, but I want to say this is Indiana. Catholic priest. Killed them midnight. Even back Story continued. This is the one based on the original Exorcism. No. The original Exorcism was the boy. It was Roland Doe is what everyone referred to him as. I just did an episode on that too, relatively recently. This is the one where Zach Baggins bought the house and then he demolished it because he said it was so evil. That's what this one's about. Or should I say what this story is about anyway. They brought in like an exorcist to do an exorcism on the house, similar to like with the Hinsdale / Dandy house, kind of the same gig. And it was Latoya Ammons. She had, I think it was 2 boys and a girl. And the one boy was crawling up the hospital wall. There's like a Netflix movie on this. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I could take this entire thing, the recent movie that came out on Netflix. Yes, that's what this one's about. Relatively recently, I think in 2024, I think it came out. I don't think it was 2023. It was definitely 2024. It was this year. Because I'm sitting outside in the summertime and I was talking to somebody in my backyard about it. So it was probably summertime of 2024 is when it came out. But like this article, again, what I would do is just grab the link. I would come over here, add a source. Now, you can't always add every single source. Some will block it, but for those, you can literally just copy and paste. Her husband was in the army or something. She lived with her mom and she was a recovering addict. There was a lot of juice in there. The husband, I don't think anyone ever talked about the husband. The mom was living with her though. Yes. I also don't know how much I never actually watched the movie. I don't know how much the movie added to that story, so I'm not sure. Also, I don't think Latoya was a quote-unquote recovering addict. I don't think that's correct either. We will technically be able to know. Okay, so here's a great example. See how this is red? This website doesn't allow like companies like this to grab information, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to remove that source. We're going to grab the old left click and we're going to scroll and copy all of this. I watched the movie, but it's different. Yeah, probably so. It's like every movie. They come out with this stuff and then they add, or the reference materials that I had didn't cover that, or it could have even been a case where I'm like, you know what? I don't necessarily want to go into that on my podcast. I do that sometimes too. So I do kill some things off. That's very possible. But as you can see, you can also copy text in, which is what I did here. So that's just that entire article, and booyah. So that even though they don't necessarily allow you to use their website, all you do is just copy and paste the information and it works just the same. Technically, I could ask here, was Latoya married? And it'll tell me, based on the information that's in here so far, did not explicitly state Latoya lived with her mother, Rosa Campbell, had 3 children, Gary, Indiana. So there, that answers that. I do find it interesting. A lot of cases involve someone with some form of addiction. Yeah. I have a theory on that, but it's just my theory. I'm sure other people's came to this also. The children's ages was 7, 9, and 12 in 2011. The family moved to Indianapolis in 2012. Family was subject to the Department of Children's Services. Children were temporarily taken into DCS custody. Yeah, see, there was no reference of anything that has to do with a husband in this one. At least with the information we have, which is Wikipedia and this one news article. All right, so we've got 2 articles currently. And I don't like adding information that is quote unquote more speculative. So like we've got some Reddit here. So typically I won't add that. Like a Time magazine, I probably would. I think Time makes it to where you can't add their website information too. But here's talking about the real story behind Netflix's demonic possession horror, The Deliverance. So that's what it was called. Now this might have some additional information. Opening title said it's inspired by the true story. Yeah, that's where it added some of that, some of the fancy Hollywood magic, right? Supposedly believed that she and her children, aged 7, 9, and 12, had been possessed by demons that was residing in their newly rented home on Carroll Street in Gary. While Ammon spoke to Starr on the condition of her children were not interviewed or named, she signed releases that allowed newspapers to review medical, psychological, and official recordings that were not open to the public and described as not always flattering. So, like, this is going to provide additional information. Fragmented illogical. I'm just kind of reading through this, see if this is something that I would typically add. How the Deliverance changed the story. Like most possession-fueled horror, reported based on real-life events. The Conjuring, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, The Deliverance, which significantly liberates the fact of the case, especially when it comes to the exorcism or deliverance portrayal of the story. However, in an interview with Hollywood Reporter, Daniels made it clear that he was approached by the film as a faith-based thriller. That's rough. Pretty sure she was an alcoholic. Could be. What my thought process is on a lot of that, I know I just kind of mentioned, hey, I have a theory on that. I think what happens is there's a realm that possibly people might dip into when they are under the influence of something. I think that there's a lot more that will come out within the next 10 years because science is already kind of proving that there is situations where people can kind of dip into, not that people can dip into, but that we know that there's additional realms that's out there. We just don't know enough about them. Some will call them dimensional planes. So I would use probably part of this. I would oh no, I hate it when it moves. I would probably use from here. So I would probably use this much. Because up here it goes into the movie. We don't care about the movie. In the podcast episode, we'll probably talk about the movie. But I always try to build everything based on factual information at this point, or things that I deem probably... Oops, I didn't want to do that. Things that I deem probably a little bit more factual. I can also choose what I keep and take out. The addictions or whatever, they're seeing more than we do, and they are attacked more than we are. What I think it is it's kind of like, don't know if you've ever watched it or not, but like the Lord of the Rings, when they've got the ring and then they put the ring on, and when they put the ring on, it brings them into like a extra dimensional plane, and then the eye of Sauron is able to see whoever has the ring on. That's kind of how I look at like an alcohol or a drug reference, kind of the same gig. So it's just a different way of kind of looking at, hey, what makes it so that they can see him and vice versa. It's kind of like you're opening up a different dimensional plane. Best way that I can put it. Probably not eloquently, but that's how I look at it. So we have that. Here is the terrifying true story of the demonic. This is probably a book. Yep. Who wrote this book? Morgan Collins. So before I did a podcast, being so that there is a book, I would probably read this book. So like Kindle has it for $4.99. And that's honestly what I would do, is I would read that book from there. There's Indie Star again. All That's Interesting, Latoya Ammons. And The Demon House of Garyena. What is this? So this was wrote in 2024, so this becomes subjective, is how I'll put it. Family claim to be experienced. It always concerns me when it's older stuff, because there's a lot more stuff that you can add. After noticing an odd glut of black flies. There's always a ton of black flies too, right? We always notice that in like the Hinsdale house and all these other spots. Believed by some to be demonic possession, got so bad that Latoya Ammons underwent an exorcism. That's a cool picture of the house. I'm going to snatch that. We can use that for AI stuff. Amityville, yeah, Amityville's another one. Seeing if there's any additional stuff in here that we've not seen so far. Oh, that's something new. When we spoke, their eyes would bulge in their mouths, curl in an unnatural grin. Same time, Latoya Ammons felt lightheaded warm. Oh, this picture is really cool. It shows this was not quote unquote enhanced at all. So what happened is someone went to the house and took a picture. There was nobody inside the house. It was the police department that hold on. Image taken, empty demon. Yes. So this was taken by a police officer, and they saw somebody on the inside. Now, again, could be a case of paranoia. Not saying that it's not. Okay. But still a cool photo. Yeah, so I think we're going to add this. It's just an interesting extras, as I like to put it. So we're going to add a source. Let's see if this website lets us do it. Insert. Yes. So right now we've got 4. This is typically what I would do to start any kind of research. Now, we could sit here and go through article after article, but I'm not going to be able to concentrate. But like, here's a great example. This one I started yesterday. This one I started yesterday. This is the Lizzie Borden. And this is simply just covering not per se the haunting. Honestly, love researching and finding out info. Yeah, but it's so tough, right? It's like, if somebody did one on Hinsdale right now, there'd be so much misinformation, which is what makes this so extremely difficult. That's why, to a degree, you got to go to the book, or books in this case. The research is always fun, but you don't know when someone's adding something that shouldn't be there, if that makes sense. And that's always the hard part, it seems, with any of this. Is trying to figure out what to add and what not to add. But like, this is the Sally house. And like, this is all information that I found. And what I'm doing is I'm building the true crime part of it first. And then I'm going to dip into the actual haunting next. So these are all some of the sources, the history. Lizzie Borden got away with murder. So all of this information is just going to go simply to the true crime part of it. And then the last thing we're going to go into is the actual haunting. You think Lizzie didn't do it? Okay. We got one person that says Lizzie didn't do it. I think without a shadow of a doubt she did it. I think there's too much evidence. Too much evidence. And in fact, we're going to cover that in the true crime portion of the podcast, depending on if I can do it. Like, I've got the entire court transcript, and we're going to be covering that too. That's actually right here. It's actually, it's tying itself to my Google Drive. Let me see here. Google Drive. Lizzie Borden trial. I'm open and listening. There you go. So this is the entire trial. So it goes all the way down. It's 907 pages. That's why I can't do this one right now. I'm going to have to do this one over the course of a few weeks. But it's literally the entire court case and all the witnesses that was there. I'm not going to let you guys read too much of this because there's some interesting nuggets of information I found in here since I've been reading through. But as you can see, it's just page after page after page of just prosecution and defense going back and forth. But I think there's way too much evidence to not think that Lizzie did it. I think that back then it was just, it's a woman. She could have never done it. I think that she was interesting. They should sell that as a book. I mean, they probably do somewhere. But yeah, I found the entire transcript and I put it in there. But what I'll basically do now, like with all of this information in there to give you guys an idea, once I find everything I'm looking for, so there's these docs that you can create on the side. I don't have anything about the haunting. I'm just going to be building the front part. So like a prime example, if I click on study guide, it's going to create a study guide based on everything to the left. And you can do this with briefing docs, facts, a timeline of events. So here's the study guide. And it basically just gives like questions and answers and then glossary terms that you can look up and all that stuff. So it gives a little bit of everything. Now, what I typically use is the briefing docs, the facts, and the timeline. I don't use a study guide. I don't know what I would ever use it for. But there's another cool thing that I've started using, which is what they call the deep dive connection. And what you do is you click it and Notebook LM creates an entire podcast with 2 co-hosts going back and forth based on the information that you put inside the docs. So it's kind of a cool thing. Complete analysis. So like here's a complete analysis of the Lizzie Borden and it just breaks it down. So in this case, it would be key individuals and their roles, the murderers, and the investigations, key points of evidence, a little bit of everything. The haunting, you would need to include more. Yes. Correct. Though, I don't know if you watched the last podcast that I did, which was on Emily Quinn. Emily Quinn did a very interesting podcast, which I've gotten some interesting comments on also. That's what I had up here. I thought it was pretty funny. This was one that I just found hilarious, which was not too wise if you believe that this woman is actually a psychic. Second, who believes that a person remembers what happens at the age of 3 is an absolute lie. The most I can remember something is like the age of 8 or 9. Also, people claim to be psychics. If I was a psychic, I'd be a millionaire. Or verbally, not a millionaire, but extremely comfortable living. Can a psychic exist? Yes. But I don't know what he's trying to say here. But I guarantee if they do, they're living on 5th Avenue or in the Napa Valley. I find it so funny when people leave these kind of things. And of course, my reply is just, being like a nice jerk in a case like this. And it's mostly just to get them on. But I'm like, and which I'm being honest, right? I'm a very skeptical person. That said, there's no way for me to know whether she's a psychic or not. I would highly doubt that you could possibly know. Are psychics real at all? Impossible to prove in either direction. Your statement alone about her being unable to remember anything at the age of 3 is incorrect. I said, if you can only remember to be the age of 8 or 9, you might want to get that checked out. That might be I wanted to say underlining medical issue, but I wasn't going to say that because it might be deemed as mean or something. Just saying, a quick Google search would provide you with this little nugget information that I put from Google. According to current research, most people's earliest memories tend to be about 2.5 to 3.5 years of age, with the average being around 3 years old, due to a phenomena called childhood amnesia, which makes it difficult to recall events from very early childhood. However, some individuals may have fragmented memories from a slightly earlier age, depending on the events and personal factors. Then I say, as I always do, everyone has an opinion. Thanks for sharing yours. Because, you know, they totally have the right to believe what they want to believe. I just find it funny, all these people that tell me things are legit or not legit. I just find it funny. And my guess is this person doesn't have a channel. They got 9 subscribers. Wait, they got 3 videos. They got 3. Well, they got 2 of them private. One's a Disney trip. He looks like a happy guy, though. I remember when I was 9 months, I had a traumatic event. 19 stitches in my head. Gosh, dang, Kelly. Stop jumping out of stuff. I don't know. I always find these people to be extremely interesting. To me. Of course, to me. I don't know why they get so fired up. I don't know that I've ever left a comment that long trying to dispute something. Oh, what did that say? I don't use pronouns because I'm not liberal. What is wrong with these people, man? Oh boy. Some people are interesting. I don't know. Oh wait, he had shorts. That's what his 3 videos was. I thought it was 2 of them was private or something, but no, it's literally 1 that is, or 2 of them that are shorts. And it looks like he snatched those from someone else. Learned to walk and tripped over an older metal style baby. Oh yeah, that'll do some damage. 100%. Yeah, I got that message today, and I also got... Oh, did Paul put a video up? This person went crazy. You don't know what you're talking about 24/7. Now, understand, this is the video he's talking about. And I literally put it up because I thought it was hilarious. Let me turn my music off here so I can actually play the video. Hold on. Hold tight. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. This is the video that he's making the comment about, which... Whatevs.
This is probably the most important question I'm going to ask you. Are they watching me in the shower? Like, what's going on there? Do they respect my privacy when the bathroom door is closed?
Yeah. So again, they're people. They know our social norms. So, you know, they do give us privacy.
Yes.
There are instances where, spirits who are, trying to scare, trying to, make you feel uncomfortable, impede on that. That's happened. I'm sure people have heard stories where they feel like they're being watched in the bathroom or in the shower. But your day-to-day spirit, like your family and friends and things like that, they're not following you into the bathroom. They're not watching you in bed. They're not like, they don't do that.
This is probably the most.
So this is the short that I put up, and this is the comment. So you could see there wasn't anything too much to that video, but this is what they decide to leave. You don't know what you're talking about, and then they decided to go 24/7. So clearly it means that we're stupid over here. Wicked with no boundaries. You need to stop lying to people. Stop lying to people. And they touch themselves. It's horrible. What? And your misinformation is horrible. No one is a medium. What? I mean, what? What are you talking about? This people's delusional. Anyway. And their website is, or their YouTube channel is Mercy and Grace. Bring forth. We got to read this now. You can't just give me that much in this stuff. What? Bring forth 3,000 miles. Kyle, they would never argue that. They have not just one picture of the sky, they have two. Okay? Wonder if they get mad if I subscribe to their channel. Anyway. Of course, in typical Bert fashion, because I just like messing with people, I also responded to that one because I just found it funny, you know. I responded back with, "Are you okay? Laugh out loud. Laugh out loud. Okay." You went about 6 different directions on one comment. Having a late night drink, my friend? Respond after you sober up. That's solid advice right there. Listen, that's just me loving. That's just me loving on people and saying, hey, listen. And you're right, Kels. Those ghosts, perverts, okay, they did not make it on Santa's Christmas list. First and foremost. No Santa's Christmas list for them. I have no clue what's wrong with some people. But anyway. Yes, Kyle, that was an interesting interview. It was great. I loved dealing with Emily. I think that she's only done 2 interviews. That was the second interview I think she's ever done. So kudos to her. When you get called to the floor and then you've got to do like an interview, it can get it's a little scary. Especially when you're coming out in the open about things. It can get a little scary, for sure. So, she is very professional. It's fantastic. Yeah, really, she really was. So there is ghost jizz everywhere, according to that comment. Yes, but listen, their channel is Mercy and Grace, Cows. So you got Mercy and Grace. That's I can't honestly wait until they respond back. I can't wait until either one of them respond back. Just because, I want to know. But going back to, look at that. So based on this information I put in on the Lizzie Borden, it created its own podcast.
All right, let's dive in, shall we? This one's for you, all you Lizzie Borden fans out there. And I got to admit, it's a case that grabs you and doesn't let go.
Oh, absolutely. It's got it all. Family drama, a gruesome crime, and a suspect who just walked away.
Fall River, Massachusetts. Summer of 1892.
So as you can hear, it does a full podcast. Now, some people could be like, why would you want to listen to a podcast that it created based on the information you provided? Because it gives a little bit of a concept and idea in your head that you might be like, you know what? I would kind of like to dig into that a little bit more. Which I do that kind of already. And no matter what video I put out, I do look at certain things that probably the average person doesn't look at. Like, I'll give you a prime example. Let me look it up here without divulging too much of my information. I'm not going to give you guys all the nuggets, okay? We're just going to give you guys a couple little nuggets here and there. Okay, can't be giving you guys the world of information. I mean, this ain't doggone charity, okay? Okay, let's see. We're going to go to Emily's video. Emily's video. They have no mercy and no grace. I know, right? So this is Emily's video currently. So 58 views, 24.4 hours watched. Crescent, I'm interested. What you talking about, Kels? What you talking about, Kel? You lost me, Kel. So this is Emily's interview. So the average view duration, 24.55, about 20 minutes watched. And then your stats are going to be based on this time frame. So this video has been out for what? 2 days, 3 days, something like that. So in the 3 days, it says it's up in views and it's up in watch time. Now, what sucks is it counts watch time even for short videos, which sucks. And my channel does a ton of shorts. If you ever go and look at my Ohio Reformatory, oh yeah, there you go. I will be doing something on that, but I need to do it more of like a location. I don't know that I can do that one again as a podcast. That one's an interesting one though. But for YouTube, what it looks at is shorts goes into your watch time, but there's no way it goes into your views. So on an average short, I might get 1,000 views. But anyway, this is the view duration of the video. So I can see based on the time frame when people checked in, checked out, and you see these little notches, like these little mountain peaks is probably the best way to put it. Those are times that people went back and rewatched, or they skipped to that part. And then all these little dips, looks like you're going down a mountain. That's when they checked out. Now they may have checked out and fast forwarded to something else. But at 15 minutes in, we retained about 28% of our watchers. Now this was a long podcast. This was 2 hours. And I would suspect that most people aren't sticking around for the 2 hours. I couldn't. Like if it's a 2 hour long podcast, I'm going to leave and then come back. I don't have enough time in the day to sit down for 2 hours and watch. Unless it's like late in the evening. Like if I'm chilling in bed and I'm like, 2 hours before I go to sleep, let me listen to this podcast. That, is very possible. But the average person through the day, it's not going to happen. But these little upticks, that means that someone was very interested in whatever it is and they either rewatched it or they fast forward to that event. So like this one, the cool thing about YouTube is I can click on it and see what it was, right? So 1546.
This thing that I see as a kid, kind of find out her dresser was in that house.
Ah, okay.
So people rewatch that part over again. Now that tells me one thing. People has an interest in my own personal paranormal story. I put on the TV. What'd you put on the TV? What you putting on TV over there, Kales? So that tells me that I probably should be creating a video on my own paranormal experience. And I've not really done that. I've always made it a part of like the podcast. And I've got a lot. It's not like I've just got that one story. I've got numerous stories. But people have interest in that. Oh, the YouTube machine. You have some rad paranormal stories. Yeah, I've got a few. I mean, I wish I could say that I have all these amazing stories that some of these people have. I don't. I have very segmented things that's happened in my lifetime. So that told me that part. But like, if you look, here's another peak. So that one's at 19 minutes. For anyone that has a YouTube channel and you're trying to figure out what should I create content on, this is a great example. So if I go to 19 minutes and see what that is.
In this case, energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
So I think what happened there is people had this is my perceived thought process. People had interests in, okay, well, what's happening? What's happening to this energy when someone's gone or right? We always talk about energy is never lost. It's only redistributed in a different way. So if I was to create additional content, I would probably want to create a video on that also. Now, I'm one of those people that subscribes to, see if I can show this to you without showing you everything again. There's some things I keep secret. Do I not have? Yeah, I do. I was like, there's no way I don't have this. Okay, let me move this over here for just a second. So I do subscribe to a system called vidIQ. Man, I kind of wish Link was on this, because I would totally show him something I think would be beneficial to him also. Maybe he'll go back and watch this later. Because I feel like this would have value for him. Let me go here. We're going to go vidIQ. I have to do it from the freaking Google Chrome, though. Okay. So, this is vidIQ. And what vidIQ does is basically looks at information from a standpoint of video creation and what you've already done. Bert, your Zelda t-shirt is, yes, sir. Look at that. Kind of see it in there. It's legendary. What I'm talking about. So what vidIQ does is it basically helps you create a lot of different things. Thumbnails. It helps you create everything from the story generation. So technically, if you click on generate, this is just a few of the concepts and video ideas that came from that. I had 4 different ones. I saw my great grandmother's ghost face to face. Do paranormal entities haunt your dreams? Are multidimensional spirits real in 2025? Discover the secret world of elemental entities. These are all things from that video. Now, there's 18 different segments. This was just the first 4 that I'm building right now. But what vidIQ does is it allows you to build different things outside of a podcast, right? Like a podcast really kind of sticks to one thing. Now, different things within that podcast might be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to create additional videos on X, Y, and Z. So it kind of, now here's what's interesting about vidIQ. You know what? I wonder if I got, let me look at something here. Let me see if I can change some of this around to show you something really cool. Let me see. What do I have in my doc files? I never know exactly what I have. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to my Google Drive, and then we're going to snatch something from there. And then I'll show you something really, really awesome that vidIQ does. I think anyone that doesn't have vidIQ has YouTube that's trying to create content, they're really missing out. There's a lot of things that I feel like they should have. Let me see here. Let's go to the old Google Drive. Especially for someone like Link that I know is really trying to create like some additional content out there. vidIQ is like, back in the old days, we called it the bee's knees. You know what I'm saying? I need Google machine. We're going to go to Google Drive under retraced, Google Drive, recent videos. Let's see what I've gotten here.
Imagine driving.
Perfect. All right. So I had this system create this video. I don't know when it was. It was like, I think a couple of weeks ago, I put on my YouTube channel. I was experimenting with AI creation tools that basically create stuff. Tech genius. I wouldn't go that far. I just know my way around a few things here and there. That's all I can say. So what vidIQ does, vidIQ will do multiple different things, right? Oh, you know what? I'll show you something else too. Let's go to this. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to go to this. Screwed up. Hold on. I want to go to this. So I already created some different concepts. The reason I've got this off camera is I don't want people to necessarily see what I'm going to be creating in the next couple of months, because I'm about 2 months out on my thought process on things. Doesn't mean that it won't change, because it will. I can guarantee it will. Like, here's a very cool concept that I've not built anything on, but I think this will give you guys an idea. Did you take classes for all this or teach yourself? Both. So I actually have a background in computer science and technology. I had that since 1997. But I went into the world of automotive. Everything that you're seeing right now, I've taught myself. When it comes to like basic programming and stuff like that, though, that was stuff that I personally myself was taught in school. So I've advanced past that. But yeah, like C++ and all that stuff I learned in school. But I've advanced. So one of the concepts that I came up with using AI algorithm was the concept of guardian angels versus spirit guides. What's the difference, right? So some of the AI triggering tools that I have, what I just showed you guys is what I do is I put that all into an AI algorithm machine, and I go, based on the algorithm of YouTube, especially with my channel, what could take off? And this is one of, I think this was 17th on the list. Anyway, it's definitely something I would find interesting. So I type this into vidIQ and then I hit generate. And what vidIQ is going to do is create an entire video concept and idea based off of that premise. So use of top related keywords. So what you would do is look through this and go, okay, spiritual awakening, then I'm going to regenerate, and then it's going to give me a score. So 85 out of 100 for this one are spirit guides, your guardian angels during spiritual awakening. Now, let's say I didn't want it to be that. I want it to be like an angel's messages, right? Regenerate again. Now it's giving me a new title based on that, 82. Do angel messages come from guardian angels or spirit guides, right? That might actually be more interesting, though the title itself is 3 less. I think the average person would find it more interesting, but it would give you your description for your video. And a lot of times I'll change this so that it is SEO optimized. Now, a lot of people go, okay, well, it's SEO optimized. Google's going to send my video out and I'm going to have all these views. That's not how it works. It's not how it works at all, technically. What happens is probably 5 to 6 months from now, that video will then have a bump because Google got it into their SEO optimization. So SEO doesn't happen instantaneous. It could be 1 month later. It could be 3 months, 6 months, a year later. You just don't know when it's going to show up on the Google machine. And there's no way of controlling that truly. But what I look for is keywords that fit within that. So supernatural insights, spiritual awakening, angel messages, divine communications, intuitive readings, heavenly signs, channeling messages. I wouldn't fit that in there. Mystical experiences, angelic support, celestial guidance. I wouldn't fit that in. Soul connection, metaphysical teachings, maybe, guardian angels, spirit guides. That wouldn't fit. Spiritual messages, life guidance, maybe. So it's going to take all these different categories. I click refine and it's going to rewrite this entire description so that when the Google machine gets it, that's going to be the best possible SEO optimized description I can have. And you can technically, go back in and add more if you want to, but anyway, that's what I would do. It gives you all the tags, in which I don't typically use some of the tags. Now, it has these baseline thumbnails, not great, but it kind of gives you an idea. Now, here's what's cool, because I do use a teleprompter, as most of you know. You can go into the hook, and you can either do it as a challenge, a claim, a fact, a problem, a promise, or a question. Now, let's say I want to make that a question. This would be the hook of the video. Have you ever wondered if the message you received are from your guardian angels or your spirit guides? That's supposed to get someone kind of hooked on the concept and idea. And then it creates an outline of what you should be covering. Now, for me, let's say I want a 10+ minute video. And lastly, let's say, then I tell it what kind of video I want to create. So let's say it's like say more like a commentary version for this. And then boom, it's created my outline. So here's the hook, the introductions, the context, the main points, evidence and examples, counter arguments for it, conclusion, and a call to action. So that's basically what it would tell me to do. Now, a lot of times people will say, okay, well, let's generate a script. Their scripting's not great. I would never use their scripting ever. But it kind of gives you an idea. And then on top of that, it also creates a voiceover. And the voiceover just reads all of this, basically. Now, what I find with their scripting is their scripting sounds like just that. It sounds like it was scripted by AI. So I would never advise anybody to use it. But as you can see, it's a 7-minute, 7-second clip.
Have you ever wondered if the messages you receive are from your guardian angels or your spirit guides? Understanding the sources of angel messages is crucial for spiritual growth and development. It's essential to know whether these messages are coming from a higher power or from within ourselves. In this,
I don't know. But anyway, that is how I create the format of the vast majority of the videos that I do that are not podcast related. And it's because this is considered the best way to create a podcast episode, or a video episode. So it's kind of cool when you look at it from that perspective. Now, here's another really cool thing. There's a thing called create a thumbnail. And I downloaded this video to show you guys this. Downloads. So this was a video that I created. I'm actually dropping the video into the analyzing videos, and what it does is it watches and listens to the video all the way through. Now, this is a very short video. This is really interesting, knowing that this is all of technology out there. Oh yeah, I mean, almost everything I do right now utilizes the bulk of technology. So right now it's designing a thumbnail based on that video I just put on there. And it doesn't take very long. This is how all my thumbnails nowadays are generated. 95% of my thumbnails are generated this way. So there's like zero thought process. So based on what it watched and what it listened to, these are the best possible thumbnails. Now this one's obviously off. It looked like it cut part of the car off here. Now here's what's crazy, right? Let's say I really like the concept of this thumbnail. Let's say I want this to be a man in a car running from the ghost. make changes. Now it's going to recreate it. I can imagine doing this without tech would be like what a college student goes through for a major. It really is. A lot of this technology I did not have when I first started. And you would have to create a lot of this stuff in a very complex series. So like this would probably be what I would use as a thumbnail. It's eye-catching. It has very cool lettering. I kind of wish Chilling Encounter was not in front of that headlight because it kind of loses it. So what I'll say is add some outline to Chilling Encounter. It's not always perfect when it regenerates some of this stuff. But yeah, before I had all this technology, and you know, this technology is not free. Like that's the thing. I think a lot of people just go, well, you know, they make so much money. I lose money every single month on my channel. Now, even though this did not add an outline, it kind of works. Like I would probably use that as a thumbnail. But here's the other thing. Let's say I didn't like any of these concepts. I hit the plus and then it recreates another thumbnail that would fit based on the story that it was provided. So like when I'm creating a podcast, this is literally what I go through. Now, based on when I first started, using this technology saves me probably 5 hours a week. 6 hours a week at a minimum. Like this is a very cool concept for a thumbnail also. I wish it had the headlight blur and orientation for the like smoke right there also here. But what I would do is tell it to redo the car. Change the car. When I tell it to change the car, it's going to do the headlight light probably correctly next time. But again, what we want to do with the thumbnail is just get something eye-catching, something to get somebody's attention to want to click or to even look at the title, right? That's where the title's important. Like, again, interesting concept, you know, especially with the blood moon. Yes. The blood moon is what kind of sells it to a degree. A man in a car looking like he is running. Oh my gosh. Is running from a ghost. Sometimes these things take a while. But compared to the old way of doing things, oh man, the old way's way more complex. Way more complex. Like this would work. I don't, what they think they want to do. Now here's the thing. I can use the magic eraser. And then we want to erase. I kind of wish this was actually over like further back. Anyway, you guys get the idea and the concepts. Now in the old days, like how I did things a long time ago, I'll show you. It was complex, very complex. We're going to go to the Discord machine. Actually, you know what? We're going to do it actually a little differently. We're going to go to Midjourney. Why is Midjourney not an option for me? Should be in my favorites as much as I use it. Is this it? Yes, this is it. Log in. Actually, I'm going to go here. So, this is Midjourney. I think this version works a little bit better than the website. Adobe cut and paste, kinda. Can imagine how many hours it saves. Yes. So let's say in the old days, if I was to create a thumbnail that would be used for any YouTube video, right? I use a system called Midjourney. Midjourney is kind of my bread and butter. It's my bang zone, so to speak. And you can see I've prompted, images nonstop for all the YouTube videos that I make. And I still use it to this day. It kind of does date you a little bit. The old Adobe cut and paste. But what I would do in the old days of doing this is I would legit go imagine, right? And let's say I wanted, a dark, spooky looking, deserted road with a man driving a car that looks like he is running from someone. We're going to add dark horror-based. Then we're going to add our aspect ratios. So all thumbnails are in 16:9. And then it's going to create the image. Now, I pay a lot for Midjourney, so mine comes up faster than what some people's will. But as you can see, it's only 30%, 35%. Also, should I say, all the things that I've ever created was all created from here. Now, of these 4, not good, it's okay, horrible. This would be perfect. This is probably where I would start everything. So I would go with the second one that kind of has that vibe we're looking for. So I would save. So there's where everything's at. And then the next thing that I would do is I would go to my favorite website for creating any kind of graphic, which is Canva. I would go to my design album. So this is where all designs are created within Canva. If anyone does not have a Canva, well worth the money, especially if you're creating anything that's going to be published or something like that. This is probably the best place to do that stuff. But what I would do is I would take that same thumbnail that I just created. Let me go to downloads because we downloaded it. Is this in alphabetical? No, it's not. Why is it doing everything in alphabetical? I don't have that many things in here. Well, where did it go? I feel like Paul all of a sudden. Where'd it go? Did I download it? I know I downloaded it, right? We all watched me download it. Midjourney. Save image. Where's it putting it at? Oh, it's putting it in E. I would have never looked there. Why would it not put it in? Anyway, back to the task at hand. So we go back to Canva. I would take literally the thumbnail, just to start. And then I would extend it out. And this is where my creation would come into beginning. So next thing I would add is the text similar to kind of what they did. Now, since this is kind of the way it's created, probably enlarge it just a little bit, give it that vibe, that spooky vibe. And then I would find something scary, right? Like that's kind of scary. I like that. Then I would call it something like Haunted Chase. And then we would go to Effects, Outline, change the outline to black. I actually hate the chase part down here. Delete. We're going to create a copy of that. And then we're going to minimize this down. Copy this, bring this up. Put that dead center right there. So that's basically how I'd create a thumbnail. Then more than likely I would put my ugly mug right here in the corner, just for brand recognition. Image reminds me of a scene from What Lies Beneath. Yeah, kind of has that vibe. So that's what I would have done in the old days. But as you can see, though that was quick, the other way was significantly quicker. It was significantly quicker. So you're able to accomplish more in a very short time frame. So that's the beauty of some of this technology that I know this channel is using. I know other channels that use it also, but in which you can really do anything from here. So like a prime example, I could even go to like optimize. It'll show me all of my videos and it'll show me things that I should optimize. Like here's a great example. Like this stream that we're in right now. It says the thumbnail sucks because, well, for one, it's a live broadcast. It's not really good. But like I could go in here and it would give me better ideas of what I should use or what I should be using for it. I can see why each of your episodes takes so long to make, a lot of prep and work into each one. Oh, for sure. So basically the new technology gives Bert some of his life back. A little bit, but not a lot. Not a lot. I wish. But like it even gives like feedback, like, hey, here's what is happening here. What sucks is like, this is a great example. This is a short video that I put out. 82 for the title and 90 for the thumbnail. So it's basically saying that's about the best that I can get on that. 100% on the thumbnail, 77 on the title. So it kind of gives you an idea of when you're doing something right or when you're doing something wrong. And then it gives you ideas of, hey, you can improve this doing X, Y, and Z. But right now I can tell you, like to give you an idea, when we talk about Bert getting some of his life back, is generally just me going to bed instead of at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, going to bed at midnight, 12:30 every night. So the time that I'm saving is not necessarily in the important parts of the day. It's to prevent me from staying up all night. That's the biggest difference. But what most people don't understand is when I'm creating YouTube videos or for the podcast or whatever it may be, there's so much that goes into it that it takes a long time just to even do anything. Like I don't have my newest editor. It's on the one upstairs, but I typically use Vegas Pro just because it's the fastest of everything. This is 21. I've got Vegas Pro 22 upstairs. But honestly, what happens is, Yeah, activate. So basically what ends up happening is just people never understand this part, and it's always the longest part. It's the creation of whatever you're doing that takes the longest by far. It's not even close on anything else. Like the prep when you're creating and doing all that stuff takes a while, yes, but there's always way more that goes into it also. Why will it not let me do that? Do I seriously not have Vegas? In which I also have Adobe. Like I use Adobe also quite a bit, which you can see here. Like I use all the Adobe software. I use Premiere whenever it's like a deceptive reality podcast, because it switches back and forth between Nick and I. I've got a program that automatically does that for me. But anyway, the longest part is once you have a video file, like some of these video files when I record them are significantly large. Like, let me show you what I'm talking about. Like this is literally where I save all of my video files. So like this was almost 30 gigs, an hour and 45 minutes. That was the interview that I did with Emily. So think about it. I would take this up to my computer upstairs that I would edit everything down in. So I would copy this file and then I would move it upstairs. Just to copy this to a hard drive is probably 20 minutes. But then that's 20 minutes. So that's just 20 minutes moving the file by itself. Then for anyone that I have a podcast that I do, in which I would do this upstairs, obviously, this part. But I use a system called Riverside. Riverside is where every single one of the interviews, or no matter what we do, is technically covered. So like I have two separate ones. I've got obviously Deceptive Reality Studio, and then I got the Retraced. So any interview that I've done on Retraced is all right here. And let's use, for example, let's say I did... let's go back to Retraced. So this is the interview that I did with Emily. So inside of Retraced, it gives me all my files here. So I've got the high quality files for myself. So the raw video, aligned video, raw audio, compressed audio. I don't use anything even remotely close for myself. So anything that comes from me is going to come from my mixer, and I record separately on my computer. So it's the highest quality. This can do up to 4K, but it does very low quality 4K. How similar is Riverside and StreamYard? I would say significantly different, but that's just my opinion. But like with Emily, it records everything on her side. So as you can see, it records 4K for me. Wherever I record, it's 4K. The camera you're watching me in right now is 4K, but I got it set to 1080 for streaming purposes. But like Emily, this is her raw video. I would use her raw video versus aligned video. I don't care about the alignment. And I would use her raw audio. But the moment that I do that, what most people don't understand is, like, y'all be blown away by this. So as you can see, that's, you know, roughly a minute to just download. But like her video file, how big's her video file? Does it show me size? No, it doesn't show me size. My guess is it's probably like 12 gigs. So it records each person individually. Yes. If I've got 12 people in this, it'll record all 12 people separately. Because again, I don't ever use my stuff. My stuff is just a backup. If something happens on my stuff, I've got my stuff as a backup if I need it. but only if I need it. But like Emily's, this is her audio. What most people don't understand about a podcast, like I always say, audio is 95%, because a lot of my podcast is audio. It's not necessarily video. Video is just what I do for YouTube. But once I would create that, I would actually go into Adobe, and I would go into Audition. So this is where I clean up all my audio. I think I showed this to Paul when I was cleaning up some of his audio one night on stream, but I would do this for both my audio file and for whoever the guest is. So if I grab my files, downloads, this is Emily's audio file. As you can see, it's 2 hours and 6 minutes long. There's her actual audio file. Now this is unedited, just raw audio that came straight from her system. I don't know what this would sound like.
Yeah, I do want to clarify. I do see, I do perceive demons. I've encountered one once. They're a lot more rare than TV would like us to believe. But I
So that's her actual audio file. Now, for me to even deem this as usable, it goes through so much. So the first thing, like if you guys was to see what I would typically do, I would find a spot where she's not talking, there's no movement at all, which that's exactly what that looks like. You can see these little brighter purple parts. That's just background noise. So the first thing I would do is a noise reduction process. So these are peaks based on hertz. And then you got your kilohertz on the top end. So this is what her room noise looks like without her talking. So that's me capturing. I'd flip that into an entire file. And then I would do a 90% noise reduction based on background noise. And that takes about a minute. So think about it. It'll take me 20 minutes just to move my video file to the computer upstairs to edit, right? So that's 20 minutes. Let's just say in total download of audio and then her video is another, let's say 15, 20 minutes. We're almost an hour and we've not even started editing yet. Like we've not even started doing this part. Like this is just the beginning part. I know a lot of paranormal will say that when you catch EVPs that's in the background, yes and no. I think a lot will say that, but a lot of people don't understand audio engineering either, right? Like if there was something in the background, let's say I was like, if I was to do this and it was let's use for example, a paranormal video in the background, I wouldn't clean it up the same way. This is simply just for interviews. But like here's her wave files, right? Now with just the background, 90% of the background noise gone.
so that's actually another specific ability. If I recall, it's called psychometry. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. While I am a medium, I'm not necessarily an expert in all things. But yes, that's the ability to touch an object and gain insight.
So if you listen to that now,
so that's actually
versus
another specific ability.
You may not hear the difference. I can. I can hear it. But again, this isn't even ready. This isn't even ready to throw in the software yet. So even though we cleaned up that background noise, it's still not to my like. So what I would typically do is throw on an effects rack. I do have some presets that I've created for myself. So like I've got what I call my Bert's podcast voice. It might work for some guests. It might not. This just makes it quicker for me to clean up most of my stuff, but it's still not a perfect system. So what I would do is I'd go to a spot where, again, there's just a little bit of noise. I would go to amplification statistics, -46. It's a little louder and clearer. Yep. That's a voice amplifier. What a voice? This software is what music engineers use, or anyone that does anything with audio. This software is probably what most people's known to use in my price bucket. A lot of people will clean up their audio for anything in here, though. So you see where this says peak amplification, -45. That's your decibel range of where there's still some background noise. So what I would do is I would go into I would go into dynamics. See this auto gate? It's already at -46. That's where I would have put it at. It just happened to be there. But I'm also using a compressor, which is a 2, so a 2-to-1 ratio. I don't have any makeup, and the reason for that is I'm going to be making it up in other stuff. But I could do limiting, I could do expanding, but I'm not going to do any of that. I do have a hard limiter set up at -1 in this case, but I still wouldn't use that. I would use -3. So typically this would be -3 for me. Then I would use a paramedic equalizer. You can see I dump all audio less than 100 hertz. So basically crushes all that back end noise completely down. And then I dip here. So I bring up a little bit for voice enhancement on the low end. Then I drop it down around that 300 mark. And then I bring it back up for high end. Since it's a female, I would probably actually do this little number right here. And I'll let you hear the difference. So
yes and no. So spirits are actually able to manipulate the way in which they're perceived.
Hold on a second. I'm going to go back to dynamics. I am going to bring up a makeup, and I'm going to bring up about 8 dBs.
So spirits are actually able to manipulate the way in which they're
That's with it on. This is with it off.
perceived. So the fact that, a 70-year-old might come back, looking like they're in their 50s because they were younger, they were healthier, that's the way they want to be remembered. And then you have spirits who, they're jokesters, or, they're kind of.
So now you've got that back end really cleaned up. So I also use a denoise processor for the rest of anything in the background. So you can see like all this noise right here. Like if I play within here, you'll see whenever that noise kicks in, you'll see like these little lines, and you'll see that it takes it out by default.
Yeah.
Like right there was just her voice. But like, watch this. You go over to like speech.
They're kind of jerks. And so they present themselves in a way that comes across as scary. So shadows, or I've seen ones that come across like they
That's actually really clean. It's not even doing any denoise on that. It's so clean. So long story short, I did a really good job on the background noise removal. So it's not finding a whole lot to take out. But typically that would not be the case, especially for a guest. A guest always has, when you take out 90%, there's still 10%. That extra 10% is basically caught here. And I would actually do a step down instead, but that doesn't really matter. Anyway, once I've got all that set up, which by the way, I got to turn this from output noise only off. I would click apply. You're going to see a big difference in the spectrum analyzer now. It'll look a lot more uniform because we're doing it basically to a 2-to-1. But like, here's the thing, just to put that on there is another 2 minutes. So we got about 40 minutes just downloading files, just processing and getting that there. If I wasn't talking to you guys, it'd probably take me like 2-3 minutes. But then to attach all this stuff's another 2 minutes. So let's just call it 5. We're at 45 minutes and we've not even started editing the video yet. This is just getting files to the main computer to edit and working on, this is just one person's audio, by the way. So multiply that by 2. So now I'm doing mine and theirs. We're probably realistically, probably 10 minutes. So now we're at 50 minutes and we've not even started editing a video yet. Now, when I take something and I put it in Vegas, When I put it in Vegas and I move those files, it does what's known as like I would almost call it like it's trying to find the top end peaks of all the audio. That probably takes another 20, 30 minutes for each audio file. So you figure before you can even edit, now you're about an hour and a half in. So you're an hour and a half into something trying to find the perfect spot. And then you're editing. So that, as you can saw, her talking time was 2 hours and 6 minutes. My total podcast was 2 hours, including a song. So at 2 hours, including the song, that means I cut roughly, realistically, I cut about 20 minutes out. Now, probably 10 minutes of that was just me talking to her saying, hey, here's how we do. Can I use this in the podcast? And then the end, there's usually a little bit of leftover too, but there's stuff in the middle that I take out also, like things that doesn't click or it's not needed, or just fine tuning what's there. The average cut, and I don't know if I can probably show you. Hold on. I don't need to save any of that. I've already done all that podcast. If I go to Premiere, which is where I've got all the video stuff, Adobe Premiere. I can't remember if I did her interview on Premiere or not. I know I would have, but I can't remember if I did it on this computer down here or the computer upstairs. I can't remember. So I started to do it down here, but I did not do the cuts because the see, this is just the full file here. Yeah, this was just the full file. Upstairs, if I would have pulled this upstairs, it would have had all the cuts in it. But like if I go to, let me see if I got another one here. Like this was the vampire episode we did forever ago. So do you see this down here? I don't need all that. So you can see all these cuts down here. These are all separate cuts. That software that cuts between my video and whoever the guest is, that's all right here. So back in the old days, we had a video that was mine and Nick's combined. What up, Link? We had a video that was mine and Nick's combined. The top one was Nick, the bottom one was mine, and this software would cut between the two separate sets of video. And it does that automatically. But again, that takes time. So let's use, for example, if it was to do an hour and a half, realistically, it probably takes about 40 minutes for it to cut that. If I was to manually cut all of those segments out to where it's flipping between the different cameras, easily 5-6 hours. Easily. They say for every 1 minute that you watch, the average editor has 5 minutes in that 1 minute in editing time. So if you're watching a 10-minute video, the person editing probably took about 50 minutes to edit that video. If you're watching an hour, it was 5 hours of edit time. Now we utilize the software, expensive software. It's expensive. What we use here is very expensive for the cutting part. But the way I look at it is that's 5 hours that I can't get back. So I'd rather pay extra money and have it do the editing than have me do it. Now, the reason it's coming up and it says the media's offline, this is an old video. And, of course, I don't keep those videos. It's just it would take too much. But, there was, hold on. Did I see what I thought I saw? I thought it said Paul. I thought it had Paul's video. Hold on. Dandy version 2. So this was mine and Paul's videos. But see, I didn't have it edited. I probably have it edited upstairs when I edited it. But as you can see, Riverside. So I used mine and Paul's for that. That was before I was recording just based on what was here. But all of these, originally I used to do them down here Project 8200. And you would see all the, yeah, like here's another example, 2 hours and 15 minutes of a podcast. Look at all those cuts. That would take hours. But once it edits all of those parts out, now you have to generate that video to begin editing with the audio that you just combined. And then you got to splice them all together. So you figure in render time, so let's say it takes combined 30 minutes for it to edit all this into the video segments. Then you have about an hour and a half, let's say, in a 2 hour and 15 minute segment. So now you're really 2 hours and you're still not editing. Like it edited all this, but you're not editing the context of what's there. You're just editing which camera it bounced to. So now you're 2 hours. We already determined you got an hour in download time. That's 3 hours. And then you probably spend 10 hours between adding sound effects, music, editing segments, taking things out that doesn't necessarily click. It's a long, drawn-out process. And most people will never know that. It's not their world. They just watch a video and they go, oh man, that's so great. It's so great. And then you got time, like me trying to find stories. Like a lot of my stuff I find on Reddit. I use Reddit a lot. As you can see, I've got all my little groups I'm in. You know, ghost stories, ghost hunting, ghost videos, glitch in the matrix. Because again, I have the 2 podcasts, so I'm trying to find stuff for both, not just one. I've obviously got all my stuff on Reddit. True scary stories. I like coming here because there's a lot of good info here sometimes. A lot of great stories. And a lot of times what I look for is like the hot stuff, right? The stuff that's really clicking right now. So like, okay, so when I was 13, I lived on the first floor in an apartment building, which was about 6 stories. And every time I'd take out the garbage, I'd walk by my apartment, down the driveway to the garage room. One late night when my mother asked me to take garbage down with my brother, we're done taking the garbage out. We saw a big cream white truck that was just parked. So that's not a paranormal story. I can see where that's going. But let's say that was a ghost story, right? And I was like, man, I can't live without having that on my podcast somewhere. Then what I would do is I would go to this person's Reddit and I would send them a message and say, hey, I think that's amazing. I'd love to have you on the podcast. And that's honestly, that's where the conversations would start. I would send a message and, you know, there's plenty of those. Like if I went up to my messages, which I'm not going to do, but if I was going to messages, you would see conversations back and forth trying to get people on where I found their stories interesting, and we would build from there. But that's how I get some of the stuff that I get, or some of the stories. Like if people don't want to come on, like Winter's a great example. There was a podcast I did a while back with Winter, and with Winter, her story came off the Reddit machine. That's where I found her. Link, you missed a section. There's a section I would have loved for you to see. I'm going to go back for just a second. Sorry for all those that already saw this. Link, I don't know if you have this software or not. It's called vidIQ. Have you ever heard of that, Link? I'm going to totally forget if I don't show you now. Do you have vidIQ, Link? Yes. So the Link machine's got one. So vidIQ, Link, I don't know if you're using it or not. Be right back. Someone's at the door. Oh no, Kyle, don't make it no ghost stories. I don't know if you're using vidIQ, but for thumbnails and stuff, you should really look into vidIQ. I was showing them earlier. You can take a video. This would probably be more for like your, okay, here's a great example. I don't know how many of you, if any of you watched the drone video I did, right? So I created a drone intro when I created that podcast, which that drone intro is very simplistic. There's nothing that's really like life-changing about it. This is it.
People in New Jersey are concerned and demanding information after a wave of mysterious drone sightings.
This is over my house right now. What?
So that video right there, let's say that was my entire video. What you would do, Link, like if you want to start creating like some videos in the future and stuff, that's like maybe you telling stories, and I know you do some of those now, but what you would do is you take that video, welcome back, Kyle. You would pull that over, you would drop it in there, and what it does is it watches the video and it listens to the audio. And then it creates your thumbnails straight from there. So right now it's watching that entire video, all the audio, and now it's designing thumbnails for that video. That's why my thumbnails look drastically different now than they did 5 months ago, 4 months ago. It's because it creates it all. So right now it'll create, I think it's 4 different designs. So there's design 1, design 2, design 3, design 4. All 4 of those I would use. This one I would like more if there was lettering like these, but like restricted airspace. What's watching? And then mystery drones. That one's really cool. I like that a lot. Not gonna lie. But with YouTube also, you can do what's known as test. You can test your thumbnails. I would probably use all 3 of these and see which one gives me the highest watch time, if it was me. But it's just a different way of looking at like creation. I was also showing them there's a thing in vidIQ called Generate. And with Generate, you can generate any kind of concept for a video. I was kind of showing them on that Emily video that I did, the interview. There was different ideas and concepts that I could take away from that interview and create other podcasts, or not podcasts, but other videos around. I'll show you. I'll go back to that in a second too. Where'd my window go? Here it is. I'm going to go. I don't need that window anymore. Getting too many windows open. Here we go. Let me see if there's another one that's kind of cool. Debunking paranormal myths. What's real, what's not. Why skepticism. Okay. Here's another great idea for a video. So again, this all came from that video that Emily and I did. It was key points in the video where I saw there was an uptick in people viewing. So, and you know this, Link, if you go back, you can see where people has watched your video in longer periods. You can see those little spikes and you go, okay, they was really interested in this segment. What you can do is, like if you have a long form content with hers, I found out there was a few things that was kind of interest of those that was watching. So here's another one. Why skepticism is important in paranormal investigations. I can click this in the Generate tab. I hit Generate. It's going to create an entire concept and idea for a video based on that one sentence. So this is what I said. Use top related keywords. So for me, I would say for this, probably skepticism, regenerate. This is what it says is the best possible title that I can use. Skepticism saves you from fake paranormal discoveries. They're saying at an 85 out of 100, this is a very highly clickable title. Now, let's say I wanted to change it. I wanted to add some excitement to it. It'll give me other title suggestions that might be better. These are 82s, not as good. $82. So I wouldn't use any of those. Here's the description that I would use in the YouTube video for SEO optimization. Now, you want to add any tags that would fit. So like skeptical insight, rational inquiry, haunting skepticism, skeptical thinking, supernatural, skeptical community, paranormal investigations. I wouldn't think research methods would fit. I mean, it kind of does, but not necessarily for the kind of video we would create. That doesn't fit. Critical analysis, debunking ghosts, fake evidence, unveiling fraud, skepticism tools, ghost hunting ethics. Let's just say that's all it is, right? I click that button. Here is a perfectly SEO optimized description for that video. Here's all your tags. I wouldn't use these thumbnails, but because again, we got the, once we create the video, we would just go to the thumbnail generator. But like, here's your hook. You could change your hook. Let's say we wanted to create more of like a question at the beginning. And then it creates an outline for what your video should be like if you want to talk about something. Let's say we want it to be documentary style. And then we want it to be video length 10 minutes plus. It'll tell us how we should create that video to be optimized to have the best possible look. So here's the outline: a hook, introduction, background, main story, challenges and conflicts, resolution, conclusion, and a CTA, a call to action. So it's just kind of a neat concept of how to do it. I know for you, some of the frustration becomes, okay, well, what do I talk about? What do I do? You know, how can I do that? If you had vidIQ, you could create stories around anything just by throwing basic describers in the description. So it might be worth something to look into. There are links to. But enough of the boring stuff. Good lordy, I'm trying to see if it will go on my Mac. It's so good, Link. It really is. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're trying to build an idea of what to build a story on, it'll do. And here's the crazy thing. I didn't even show you guys this. You can plug in other channels that does what you do. So like, actually kibosh that idea. Like I can go to outliers and it'll give me outliers in what I do based on my channel. So it's saying these channels typically have an increased watch. 7.7 times, 39 times. So Haunted Massachusetts. It's saying this video is outperforming where it should be. 18 times, 19 times, 99 times. So let's say I liked one of these ideas, right? Let's say I wanted to do something on like Haunted Massachusetts because I'm like, man, 39 times better than what this channel average does. I click on it. I could watch the video if I wanted to. But then I can say, hey, give me some ideas based on why this is performing so well. I could add this channel as a competitor. So just like that, it's saying, okay, this is somebody that does what I do. And it'll give me ideas off that. So it's saying it's a 39 times multiplier. It has 14,000 views. Views per hour, little less than 1, with good engagement. So it's saying that's a perfect video to kind of create. Now I can click on give me ideas. Here's all the ideas. The dark side of Louisiana, beyond the graves. Let's say I wanted to do one of these. Like let's say the dark legacy of Ohio, uncovering supernatural secrets. Generate. And guess what it's doing? It's taking us right back to that generation tool that we was talking about earlier. Click on horror stories, regenerate. And now we're creating an entire concept and idea from someone else's video. Now you can also click on ideas. It gives you daily ideas, things that are hot in your genre per day. So It's saying for me, these are very high predictive interest in videos. Paranormal encounter with a shadow person. Scariest haunted dolls that will send chills down your spine. But let's say you like them, you hit the little star, you click generate, now you're creating content for that too. But here's what's cool. You can put people in your genre. So like I consider these all people that kind of do what I do. And then it puts me in there. And it shows based on the last however many days, right? Like let's say it's the last month or something. It'll show me how these channels are performing on average. And then I can go and see what they've done. So I can see when channels are doing well. I can see when channels are doing not so well. Now, if you look at me, I'm down 31%. It's because I took 130,000 views off my channel. I just took them off my channel entirely because I'm going to recreate them. So if someone came in and they had me as their competition, they'd be like, man, Retraced Echoes is struggling right now. They're struggling. They're falling apart at the seams. It's just because I took 130,000. So it's not perfect. Like if these channels took their stuff down too, it would be the same things. I don't think most people's taking 130,000 views off their channels except for people like me, but yeah, my average views for the last, I don't know how long this is. I'm losing 1.8 thousand views per day. I'm doing horrible. And then they've got an SEO tag. Like you can create all your SEO stuff. It'll look at all your videos and tell you what you should add, what you shouldn't add. I don't necessarily use that, but you could if you wanted to. Yeah, see, I lost 130,000 views by taking those videos down. I don't know. Some people find it interesting. Link, while I got you here too. While I'm thinking about it. Where did my... Oh, wow. There it is. Ghost hunting equipment. We got that ghost hunt coming up, folks. This is what we're going to be using, or this is what I'm going to be using for my main camera rig. Kind of a run and gun. What I do is I've got my Sony Alpha 7. So this is what I'm going to be running and gunning everything with. So when we're capturing video, this is going to be the high-end stuff or some of the higher-end video stuff we're going to be using. I put a metal rig on here, so it's basically just a run and gunner. And it's got the metal frame, so we'll be able to attach anything on the metal frame with our follow focus. So this will be a good little rig for us when I'm running and gunning. I know I talked to you and Paul about this a while ago. Oh my gosh, timber. This is what we're going to be using for like that shotgun mic mount that I was talking about. And the shotgun mics are going to be basically when we're trying to pinpoint something inside of a room. So let's say we go, yeah, there's definitely something there, and we want to try to figure out what it is. This is on a boom mic, and this boom mic can go, I think, a little over 7 foot. So let's use, for example, like in the Wildwood, if I don't want to go upstairs, but I want to see what audio is coming from that top side, I can extend this up into that attic. So we're going to be using this really big with the Wildwood. Or like if there's like a room and I'm like, I really want to, you know what? I'm an idiot. Hold on. Let's go face cam. So it'll definitely give me that little bit of extra oomph when I'm trying to get into like a section or something. And then I've got the laser grids and stuff. So this is a little laser grid that I picked up. It was a while ago. And I can't remember if I showed you this laser grid or not. But it just looks like your standard, just like a gun. Crawl space at the Dandy House. Oh, yeah. Or the crawl space in the Dandy House. Yeah, I could do that also. But this little laser grid, in which you can kind of see kind of what it does behind me, but it basically provides the option to have like that huge laser grid, and obviously the further back you go, the more it'll expand. But it gives all these different ways. It's kind of like a kaleidoscope to a degree, so you can kind of pinpoint exactly what you want. So you could have like the big LEDs, or you can shrink them all up to a much smaller define. So this one's a chargeable unit. It does have what's the equivalent of like an AAA battery in there. But what makes this so cool is it has, for those batteries, you could throw AA's in there, but it's got the charging unit, so you just throw the batteries inside here, and it charges those batteries for this system. This laser grid I don't think is super expensive. I want to say it's like less than $50. But like if you're out and about, I thought there was two, but there's only one. There's only one that's in there. But you can recharge it right from the system, or if you're trying to run and gun, you can just throw a AA in there. But when we add the fog machine, in which I have one that I'm going to be purchasing, I wanted something a little bit smaller. So that's what we're going to be using. So that's what we're going to be using. I'm super curious at the Dandy house. I want to put it in front of that closet. And I want to see if there's any distinctions in the lines at all. And I'm thinking about just putting a base camera in there and just letting it run. Batteries is a blast. Yeah, I bet it is. I bet it is. And of course, Claire is yes. Of course, we was talking about this, the S box. I'm going to be hooking this up to the Phantom. The Phantom way of doing it. So it does that. It does away and it adds that reverb, the thing that Paul was complaining about the other day. I really want to go to that system because I think when we're running and gunning, we just want to hear those distinctions versus, taking it back and then figuring it out later. At that point, it's already gone. I think that you miss the opportunity. And that's what I was trying to explain when Paul was talking about it, is you kind of miss those kind of things. Buy 3 times the amount of batteries you think you'll need. That's the thing. Most of my stuff is rechargeable at this point. So it's like, which one's my video box? I think this might be it. I need to label them. Yeah. So this is my video box. This is where all the run and gun camera stuff is. As you can see, I have 2 separate battery packs for this up here. This is the Insta360. I've got it in a metal frame box. This is the Ace Pro low light. So more than likely, this is what we're going to be running with separately. So this, I've got 3 of the separate battery packs for. And then I've also got the Insta360. So this is the Insta360. It's got the camera on the front and the camera on the back. And what it does is it shoots everything in a complete 360. So this will be, as you can see, it's got the little circular thing on the bottom. Is the Pro, not in your head. Say what? The Pro 09 in your head. Trying to think of what you were going to say there. I don't know. I don't know what she's saying. On your head located. Oh, for head mount. This will be shoulder mounted and probably back mounted. So what I'm going to do, more than likely, we're going to have a harness on with like a backpack kind of deal. This will be mounted on the side. So that way anyone will be able to basically, or it might be above me on my back, depending on where I get it set up at. But with the 360, you guys will be live streaming directly from this camera. You'll be able to, on your phone, move the screen and see exactly what's happening. I don't know. Let me see here. Power on. I don't know if this will be good enough for you guys to see, but it does like a full 360. You'll kind of see it, which if I do like this, you can see I can technically move the camera anywhere, and you would be able to do the same thing on your phone. So it technically does a full 360 degree movement. So the cool thing is while we're doing an investigation, it's locked on my shoulder. You guys will hear the audio that'll be coming from the mics, because the mics will be going into the mixer, and that's where we'll be streaming off of. But let's say you think it's coming from somewhere, you'll be able to move your camera to go to wherever you think that sound's coming from. So it's like you guys will be investigating there, unlike someone who's kind of got like a locked point of view on one set spot. Now, we won't be running it all night long. Obviously, we'll only be streaming for part of it, because we do want there to be a little bit of mystery in the main video that we'll put out, which will come out in October. We're going to be going there in September. So if we're going there in September, we want to have a really big video for both deceptive reality and retraced echoes. So we'll be able to kind of provide some, hey, here's what happened to us kind of deal. So not everything will be ran there, but we'll be using these lapel mics, the newer lapel mics. But these just lock in, and then they attach into the mixer. It's got a receiver, and these are the ones that go 650 feet. So this would go straight into the mixer, and then Nick and I can go up to 650 feet away from the receiver before it doesn't have us. But it also will record up to 10 hours on the lapel mics themselves. So it just kind of makes it a little bit easier for you guys to kind of hear what's happening, and you'll be able to hear Nick and I at the same exact time, because both of the mics will come. There's two separate mics. I don't know if you can see that, but two separate mics, and then it's got the attachments that go right in. And then what you guys was talking about, bring enough batteries. So these are all just rechargeable USB, which is what we're going to be using. Some of our cameras will be hooked straight into these, so that way we're sitting on 20 hours. I've never used my DJI mic system. I mean, well worth it. For sure, well worth it. And then I do have another battery pack that's made for like computers and like high-end stuff. Like the much bigger, and that's this bad boy. This bad boy will basically will keep a laptop running for 20 hours by itself. So between this and these other two, I mean, that should be more than enough to run all the power at one location for a full 24 hours, which we won't be there for 24 hours, but we could if we wanted to. So that's just some of the trinkets that we're going to be bringing along. And of course, I've got another box back in the background. You can see it. That's mostly audio and or like our stuff to kind of keep everything, quote unquote, running the right direction. You may have to recharge them as you go. Yes. So what we were going to do is we're just going to make sure that everything stays up to power. Once we know there's probably like 3 hours left, we're going to throw the chargers at the location to recharge before we leave. And then, of course, I got my basket of stuff. My mom got me this for Christmas, which I find hilarious. It's like your sage and stuff to make sure that you're getting rid of all the bad stuff before you go. I said I was going to get that anyway. I'm still going to get my bottles of holy water. I'm going to try to get the extra strength holy water. But, yeah, so that's what we got going on with that. So that'll be fun. You know, got to get rid of all the bad stuff. I feel like there's something else I was going to show you guys too. The heck was I going to show you guys? I think that's it, maybe. We had to sneak into churches, and oh man, Link over there sneaking in them churches, boys. Him and Paul. I saw Paul put a video out today. What did he put a video out of? Let me flip here. Let's flip. Let's see what's old Paul putting out today. I did see him put something out. Let's see here. We don't want to look at Lizzie Borden. We want to go to the YouTube machine. Because I think, Kelly, you said something about he got some paranormal stuff going on. Pretty sure that's what you said. I think it was a walkthrough. Oh, okay. I got a notification. What'd I get? I don't know what that is, but okay. Let's see what we got here.
I'm going out to have a...
For anyone that doesn't know, definitely check out Paul's channel.
morning cigarette at 9 o'clock.
Get him a morning cig.
Sunday, the 5th of January. I just sent the chat a long message as I walked down the shining hallway.
Is this what his facility looks like? Or the spot that he's at?
Deader than a doornail.
That's dead. That is dead, Paul.
And the only sound you're going to hear really in here most of the time.
Look at that snow.
It's when you go downstairs and some old fuddy-duddy's having a cigarette outside, like I'm about to do. It's quiet here. Occasionally,
I got this battery for the just in case episodes I find myself in at the Dandy House. You know, my biggest fear of anything that I do, my biggest fear is that I get to a location and I don't have enough power, which we are going to have a DVR for the static cams. I'm going to set up wireless static cams in all the rooms. They record in H.265 and they can store up to, according to it, the equivalent of 48 hours on these DVRs. So what my thought is, I should be able to record both the Dandy House and record for the Wildwood. But I'm not going to take that chance. So I'm at the Dandy House first. When I'm done at the Dandy House, before I can get into the Wildwood, I'm going to download everything from the DVRs and put them onto an external hard drive. So I've got 2 copies. That way, if something happens to one, I've got a backup. That's like my biggest fear, is that we lose anything. We'll still have the cams, right? I'm going to have the 360 cam. I'm going to have the, or should I say both the Insta360s. Both of those are Insta360s. One is the X4 and the other one is the Ace Pro. And then, of course, the big boy that we're going to have, or that I'm going to have, obviously Nick is going to have something a little bit different, but I'm going to have the Sony. So the Sony Alpha. This is going to be my run and gun, basically. It's light enough to where I can kind of, go wherever I need to go. I don't need to worry too much about it. Which it helps if I put all my stuff in the right spot. But it's going to be big enough to where I get the best possible footage that I can get within reason. But it's small enough to where I don't get exhausted carrying it around. Because you'll know probably just as well as anyone, Link, doing this as much time as you have, it can get a little bit tiring. If you got a big, heavy, huge thing that you're carrying around all the time, it gets heavy. And then all of a sudden, now we're going to have backpacks too. I really thought about getting that OBS talent with the change screens and stuff, but I'm thinking that's overkill. I think at this point we're overkilling some stuff. But with the shoulder mounted 360, with the Ace Pro, with this, and with the static cams, if we can't put together a production, then I really don't know what we're doing with our lives. I really don't. He's got a 20 amp circuit in the kit. Bath areas. Holy smokes. It's a nice psychiatric institution. Dang, savage. Yeah, you figure the backpacks alone. Like, I'm getting to that age now where I don't want to carry around all kinds of stuff. It helps if someone helps rig you up from behind. Yeah. See, for me, it'll be myself, Nick, and my wife. That's the 3 people we currently have on location. So Jess is going to be sitting, my wife is just going to be sitting in front of the mixers. That's all she's going to do. And I don't know if you can see, but depending on what's going on, you get these little flashing green lights. These green lights is going to be anytime there's an audible of anything. So she'll be able to look down at all the different channels and go, oh, wait a second. There's room in, what I'll probably do is put like little stickers at the top, like, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, whatever it is, right? And she'll look and she'll go, oh, wait, I just saw a noise in this room that they're not in. And that'll maybe help direct us of, well, we need to be there. Because we're going to put mics in each one of those rooms. So I think that will be her primary thing. And then Nick and I will be running and gunning wherever it is and doing different investigations and stuff. But this is just light enough, and it's got the handles and the equipment spots where we can put on like external mics and whatever. But it'll just kind of keep everything at bay and make everything super simple for us. Because again, we're 2 days in a row of this. Or do a small key for each location. Yes. Because what my thought is if we have 8 separate static cams, we should have 8 separate mics. Plus the mics on each one of the cameras, those are separate. My lapel mic, Nick's lapel mic. So everyone will kind of have something different, is how I'm looking at it. And then we'll just piece all the audio and all the video together. But that's the thing with the mixer, it'll automatically key it all together. It'll put timestamps on everything and it'll all be keyed perfectly in sync. So when I come back, I don't have to worry about syncing all 8 of these together. All I have to do is sync 1. Wildwood has 4 floors plus the attic. Yeah, that one's going to be a tough one. What I'm thinking about doing is putting like control in the middle. In the middle of the location, probably realistically on the 2nd floor, that's where like a control central will be. That way, if we go down or we go up 650 feet, we still have good reach and it's still recording up to 10 hours on those lapel mics. Yeah, because cords are only so long. Yep. Well, that's the thing. Like, I've not even bought XLR mics yet. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do that part at that location. Like, some locations will be simple. Like the Dandy House, super simple. It's so freaking small, there's not a whole lot of place you have to worry about going. So that's kind of where my head is, at least now. That's not to say that it won't change. And it's not to say that it won't change, but that's where my mind is now anyway. 300-foot cords require a 12-volt charger. Ooh. 12.5. So a 300-foot cord requires a 12.5-volt charger? Do you mean for XLR? What kind of cord do you mean? Are you talking power cords? 60s can use the usual small chargers. Oh, I got you. Because then my thought process is maybe we need to go to for additional power supply. I got you. Because like the XLRs, obviously there's phantom power. We can pump phantom power up to 48 volts into any of those mics. So I'm not so concerned about those. Those mics don't have to be powered. My concern would be the static cams are all wireless as far as going to the DVR box, but we still have to have power going to those. In which, if that's the case, then realistically, like we could use these power banks to probably charge those. So it wouldn't have to be necessarily something we'd have to go to a power. Yes, wireless cams, yep. But they still have to be powered by something. That's the thing. But they're a wireless connection to the DVR box. Oh, yours is wired. I thought about going wired, but I just don't want to deal with running those cables. Because I'm already going to do that on all the microphones. And that just seems like a lot. Yeah, completely wireless. And it has 48 hours of continuous recording with the DVRs. I kind of learned from you on that. After seeing what you were saying, Link, I'm like, I don't really want to deal with that. Because I'm already going to be doing it for the mixers. Unless I can find a wireless way of doing it that I think the sound quality won't drop. 48 hours, yeah. So that's where my mind is currently with that. I really want to keep that to a minimum setup time because, let's be honest, when you get there, you're going to have a couple hours just in setting everything up, just the base stuff. It doesn't matter how well you do things. DVR should be 24/7, yes. And that's the goal. We want to have 48 hours of just straight recording between the two, 24/7, no loss. And of course, all those mics will have sound also. But you figure, you've got 2-3 hours in just setting things up, getting your cameras on. Like we'll have the Ace Pro will go probably right on my chest. I'll have a chest mount. And then the 360 will be on the shoulder so everyone will be able to look around. And then we'll have the static cams, and then we'll have the Sony, my Sony. I don't know what Nick's bringing. I can't remember what he's bringing. But he'll be able to bring whatever it is that he has. And then we'll do that for like some of the top end. We'll have the drones. So I'll have 2 drones at that point. I'll have my Mavic, which I have now. And then I want to purchase a Neo. A Neo just to follow me around the house. It's not that I can use the Neo like for all the good stuff, but it'll just be kind of cool. Don't submerge yourself in the pond with all the gear. You submerged yours on accident, Link? I didn't know that. Yeah, I just want the Neo to follow me around. The other cool thing about that 360 is you can set it up in the middle of the room and it takes a photo of the entire room. So what I want to do is leave the room, capture a full 360 image of the room, and then use that for like creating floor plans for all that stuff. Oh, Nick Groff did? In the video we watched, I knew that he had lost some of his stuff in there. That's why I was concerned. I'm like, man, that's 2 people in a row that lost some stuff in that mug. Yeah, I don't plan to go anywhere near that pond. Nowhere near. So I'll be good on that. Promise. Yep, from the UK. Yeah, I know what my thought process is coverage. We want to make sure the coverage is there so that there's no, I think I saw it on a video a few weeks ago where someone was talking about they was wrapping everything up. Static cameras is the last thing to go down. And they caught something on their static cam that changed the trajectory of everything. And it's like, I really don't want to miss anything. So the static cams will come down less. But even when we're taking those downs, I still want to have my chest mounted cameras. Now, unfortunately, memory cards on those, like we're going to be recording in 8K on at least 2 of them. And you know as well as I do, you're going to shoot through 256 gig in 3 hours. So, you know, we're going to be switching memory cards out on those quite a bit. You got to figure, like, from the time we have the Dandy House, I can't speak on Wildwood. I know I've talked to Brooke here and there, but just from the Dandy House alone, we'll have probably 10 hours on those cams too. So we'll be switching out probably 2 or 3 memory cards on each one of those, because we'll be recording in 8K. And everyone goes, why record in 8K? You won't be releasing a video. So if I need to zoom in on something, I can. You're probably going to want to have a camera or 2 on the pond. I never really thought of that. Like, here's the thing. 10X's on numerous. Yeah. What my thought process is, like, I don't mind putting cameras up, but I don't want to put anything too expensive on the pond, especially if people's coming and going that they could steal. Like, the cameras are expensive. I don't think that, like, let me give you an example. This little box right here that has the little bit of camera equipment I have in here that I was showing you guys. If you was to go buy this stuff right now, that's $400. This is $500. That's $900 right here. Not including the spare batteries. This is just the charging for the 3 batteries. But, you know, that's roughly, there's $1,000 right here. This is easily $1,000. And this is just one of 2 of these cases. So it's like, you know, you throw a $500 camera on that pond, and then someone comes and stops by, and then they go down the pond. They go, oh, here's a freaking 8K camera. Let me just take this with me. You know, now you're out $500 minimum. And then this right here, this is $3,000. This is $3,000 altogether. Your box, your lenses, your rig, your metal rigging, the camera body itself, this is $3,000. So just between these 2 things, that's $4,000. And that's nothing with audio. And that's what I don't think most people understand. Like, what camera do you put at the pond where you just let it run on autopilot and hope that no one comes and rips it? You know? Because here's the thing. You put a $200 or a $300 camera out there. It's cheaper, less risk, but is it a good enough quality to even get anything out? The nice folks that run around the property hasn't ever messed with the cams. They usually go the other way when they see the, oh, okay. But it'd be my luck. Like, it'd be my luck. I would do it. And we would lose a camera. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Like, for the Sony, that'll be, you know, like I say, that'll be the top end of the video production, because we'll have at least 2 separate lenses that I'll throw on depending on what we're doing. The lens that's on there now is just a 50 millimeter. So that's just a standard 50 millimeter, a cinematography lens. There's no real easy way to show it right now, but the lens that's on there, it's a FE 1.8 50. This is basically what they would use for, like, cinematography for most of those places. And I can't remember what I paid on that lens. A lot of this stuff I bought a long time ago when I was going to shoot, like, an indie film. You know, whenever you go with good glass, that's where your money's at. Your camera body's $2,000. It's $2,000 just for the camera body, not including lenses. But I can't remember what I paid. That's probably $3,000 would be my guess. And then you got your rig and all that stuff. So it's like I would never leave that kind of camera out by the lake or the little pond that's out there. Shouldn't need too much zoom inside the small rooms for both locations. Yeah, that's the thing. The 50 millimeter is so 50 millimeter is considered what most cameras use. 12K when it's all said and done. Oh, yeah. For sure. That's the thing. No one understands the cost of doing a lot of this stuff. It's tough. It's really tough. Like, you'll never make your money back on one location or two locations or hell, probably 5 locations. You never make your money back. You know, the only thing you can hope is that your channel continues to grow and that eventually you make money from it. You know, and that's why for me, I think I'm branching into so many different directions. It's like, let's try to make money in 5 different directions. It would help if I monetized, but there's not enough money in that right now. So we've not even concentrated on even doing remotely anything like that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds, though, especially with, the podcasts are doing okay, mostly audio. Now the YouTube channel, like I say, that one's kind of a different one. If you get an LLC, some purchase may be a write-off. Yeah. Probably most of the stuff, though, I wrote, I bought, over a year ago. Like that camera, I purchased that camera and all the lenses and stuff when I was thinking about doing an indie film. That was 5 years ago. So that camera, though, you can still buy it to this day. You're going to pay $2,000. So that's the thing. And I didn't write it off then either. The way I look at it is all this stuff is an expense, but I want to put out a good product. So it's, where's the line in putting out a good product? I don't know that there is one. Do indie films with... I don't know what kind of indie film she's doing over there. Maybe she got some fancy indie film stuff going on. I don't know. I was going to do a horror-based indie film is what I was going to do. That was kind of my bang zone. Or where my thought process was anyway. She flies everywhere? For indie films? Like indie documentaries? She's not creating movies, right? And is she behind the scenes or is she in front of the cam? I guess I didn't know this about her. Oh, for vacations? Oh, okay. Kenya, etc. Wow. Okay. Look at Colette go. Yeah, I don't have that kind of lavish lifestyle. Listen, we're just over here doing our own thing. We're just trying to survive. Fantastic picks. I'll be darned. I don't know. What I want to do is more behind the scenes stuff. Like I kind of, at the beginning of this podcast, I kind of explained the breakdown of how we're creating podcasts now and going forward. So much technology has changed in how the creation of my podcasts are going to go. It's kind of interesting when you look at it all and you go, man, like the amount of hours that I'm saving using some of this technology. And then you add to that, like some of the video technologies. That's another thing that I probably should show that you guys have no clue about. Let me see here. Let me log into this. You guys will probably find this interesting. Yoink. So when we talk about doing B-roll material, and for those of you that watch my podcast on the old YouTube machine, we do a lot of B-roll material. Kitten crawled up. Oh, snap. Kitten's on it. So the software that I'm using to create B-roll right now is all AI generated. This is the website for it. Again, I have the unlimited plan. You can see that glorious plan is going to be renewing on January 10th. That's $100. Pow! It's going to be gone instantly. It's $100 a month currently, but it creates some of the best AI generated content. And what you can do is when you create, you can see some of the stuff that's been created on the side. You can create based on image or text to video. So let's say I want to do a text to video. I have a creation tool that helps me actually build it from the ground up. And I created a chat GPT. I did programming to do it. So what I'm doing is basically I'm dropping an entire whatever it is, right? It could be like a script or a transcript depending on what I'm doing into this, and then I've got kind of a breakdown. But let's use, for example, let's say there was a scene. I'm going to let it do its thing because it's going to do it significantly better than how I would do it. Let's say I wanted to create a image or a video, should I say, of Minimax. Here we go. Let's say a scene where a car is running down a deserted highway trying to get away from someone unseen. Now, I think what a lot of people think, especially when it comes to AI stuff right now, is that we just throw this text into a generator and a couple seconds later we have something, because most things, it is true, with AI is relatively quick. Video is not one of those very quick things. So, here we go. If I was to do text to video, I would plug this in for this video. So what it's doing is showing the tension of a car fleeing down a lonely road, scenes, a lone car race. So it's basically giving the primary object, the scene, the motion, and then basically the atmosphere of the scene. So I've got this AI programmed to have a very specific look for my podcast. That's why I didn't show you guys my typing and what it does, because I don't want anyone to really copy my style. No offense to anyone else. But if someone finds this video later, I don't want them to steal my ideas on that. But I can generate up to 5 different clips at the same time, but only 2 can be generated at the same exact time. The other 3 would go into the queue. So if I create those and I click them at the same time, you're going to see how long it takes to make a 6-second clip. Now we're talking 6 seconds. Not a very long video clip. But this is some of the faster AI generations tools, and now it's began. So it takes for 6 seconds, probably somewhere around 3 to 5 minutes on average to create a 6-second clip. And that's if it generates it correctly the first 1 or 2 times. So that's why I also wanted to take my podcast to bi-weekly, because I wanted to generate a way of creating better content and having some of this AI without the pressure of trying to keep up once a week. It's just too much to be on a higher quality side. Now, in addition to that, I also have a style that I produce that I'm not going to give my methodology behind it. Like, I'll give a little bit of it, but not all of it. But I also use Midjourney to create imagery with a certain aesthetic. And I'll show you guys that real quick while that video generates. So for that same scene, if I wanted it to do it based on a preset way of me doing it, that would be my prompting for the same thing. So it also creates a mid-journey prompting so that it has what I call my signature style. Which is basically like a Polaroid kind of style. It's not giving away all the context, but it's like that Polaroid kind of style. So like this is, if I wanted to have my signature style, this is kind of what it would look like. But again, it comes down to, okay, is this really what I want to do? And I might have to generate this 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 12 times. Hell, some videos are, 100 times of generation just trying to come to what I'm looking for. Oh, shoot. I want to save image. Oh, here it is. It was saving on the side. Okay. I don't know which one's which. Save image. What do you mean you're unable to save image? That's a damn lie. Open in browser. Save image as. There we go. So let's say I wanted to have that signature style, but have video generated around it. Now it's creating 2 of its own. I generally let it do both. Oh, it's done with 1. So here's one video it came up with. Not hateful. Would it be usable? Maybe. But it's probably something I would finagle a little bit. This one's done. What says done? There we go. So there's the other one. See, there it did something weird. That I could use the first part of that and then cut off right there to where you don't see that. But let's say I wanted to have the image view, right? What I found is I click in the image. So that's the image that we just created. We'll do a quality of 2, and we don't put... we leave the same prompting in there, but sometimes we do it where there's no prompting at all. So generally what I'll do is 2 with the prompting. I take the prompting out, and then I create 2 more in the background without prompting. Sometimes it does better with no prompting than it does with prompting. So as you can see, this one's already began 1%. So if I was to do that 1 6-second scene, this one would probably be okay. The problem is it's more like a UK driver and driving on the wrong side. As you can see, the driver's in the wrong seat. No matter what I do, because the UK is going to be driving on that side of the road. If the driver's on that side, we would obviously be on the other side. So I would probably use this top one, but I'd have to cut it less than 6 seconds. So probably at 4 seconds in. But now the question becomes, using the signature style that I've kind of created through time and my own product, can AI generate anything here? And some of these generations are really cool that I've created here. Like this is not something I can use, but like that's AI generated that it'd make for a cool movie. Some of these you've probably seen in my podcast episodes. If you've watched, like that one's kind of cool. But you can get eerily specific in what you're looking for. And sometimes it does a great job, sometimes not so great. Like that's kind of a cool AI generated video. And like some of these is just, it's way off. Like this is a really cool image of a little girl sitting on the awning. I used that inside the Emily video. I don't think it was that one. It may have been this one. But I just cut off whatever this weird art. Oh, it wasn't weird artifacting. This was that Polaroid imaging. So I cut the image kind of here and here. But like if I was to pay to have someone record that, it would be super expensive. That's where AI really comes to place. My logo that I'm using for everything now, I've had it generate kind of different scenes that I can use. Deceptive reality the same way. Like stuff like this. Like it's eerily specific for what I need. So again, to pay someone to do this kind of stuff, it would cost way too much money. So for $100 a month, This is what I'm doing using AI generation. Now, some people will be like, you don't even need AI generation. Just tell the story. But I think that it adds something to the story if you have the time. That's the key, if you have time to do it. But again, this is why I'm trying to bring a team on eventually too, because I don't really have time to do a lot of this. And that's what makes it so hard. Like, this was a really cool, this isn't exactly what I wanted it to do, but I liked it. This was supposed to be a woman with black eyes. 100 a month, Link. I think it's like $99.95 a month for unlimited. Yep, there you go. If you're buying it for the year, unlimited is $1,138, $39. I'm paying $94.99 a month. But you can get Pro, which is $377 a year. That gives you 4,500 monthly credits. And as you can see, each generation right now is taking, I think, 30 generations or 30 tokens. So if you do the math there, you can kind of see what you're getting for your money for that. This is the cheapest high quality that you can get. You can get other AI generation videos that they look okay. That's from our video or from our photo. Now that totally usable. And that's using that photo that I created. I think that's perfect. Like, I would totally use that in a video. Driver's on the right side. It's on the right side of the road. But that's where sometimes having the photos are the best. But, like, here's a prime example. We probably sat here for 10 minutes trying to generate these videos. Think about that. If you had 100 of those in a video, let's say you had 20 at 10 minutes. That's just time. That's why a lot of times I'm creating a video here and then I'm writing over here, or I'm editing the video or whatever it may be. And that's 6 seconds. We may not even use all 6 seconds of that video clip. We might use 4 seconds of it or 3 seconds of it. And these other two are still generating in the background. Link says, I need to retire. That's the thing. I'm getting to the point now to where I've kind of got my editing process down. My videos would look significantly different. You can tell the ones that I've spent more time on versus the ones that I've had to rush out. But multitasking is a much needed must-have. A lot of times I'll have videos generating in the background. I'm writing a segment for something. I'm editing something, or I'm moving audio, or I'm doing audio background removals and stuff like that. Like, again, another usable video. Now, here's the thing. If I don't use one of these videos, like this one, the car's going backwards. And it turned the headlights into like tail light kind of concept. So like that video is completely unusable. But let's say I decided for my video that this is the video that I want to use, which is perfect. Guess what I do? I now take this video and I throw it in my folder because I may use that in a video later. So a lot of times I've got backed up videos and audio that I can use at any point in time that I've already generated. So it's just like a way for me to kind of, even though I can't use it right now, maybe I can use it later. And even music, like all the music that I generate, I've got it all saved in a file. Because if like I need to rush and I don't have time to figure out how to create music for it, that's what I do. Yep. Bank them, because trust me, some of this stuff, it just takes entirely too long. And sometimes it's good to have a little surplus of stuff in the background that you can use. In which, you know, a lot of these, if I liked them, I save them. Like this was kind of a cool shot. I did not use this in my video. But I'm like, that would make for a cool intro. Like a spooky intro. You add a little bit of background noise to that. This one I did use. I thought that one was kind of cool. I can't remember what video I used that in. This I didn't use because the AI didn't do what I asked it to do, but I'm like, I could really use that for like a dream state video. So again, that's a backed up folder for me. Sometimes it generates stuff where you're like, you can't use it, but it's eerie enough that I could use it for something else. Like Ouija boards. AI sucks at making Ouija boards. That's why I hate doing any stories with Ouija boards. Or if I do them, you'll notice I never use AI generated anything for Ouija boards ever. Now this one, funny enough, I used a real image of a real Ouija board to create the images. So that's an actual Ouija board that I used. AI didn't create that. I did that myself. I need a decent sound effect program, AI or otherwise. If you need sound effects, the best bang for your bucks is 11 Labs. Hold on a second, I'll show you. 11 Labs is not just, everyone thinks it's just a voice software. It's not. I would say AI for generation of sound effects. This is probably the best that you could come up with right now. What they have is a text to speech. They've got voice changer, voices, and sound effects. So like if you go to sound effects, you can describe your sound effect and then it will generate it up to I forget how many characters. But as you can see, again, I have the highest end of this. You can get it relatively cheap. But let's say I needed a sound effect. Let's say, I mean, really, you could ask for anything. The sky's kind of the limits. Let's say a UFO flying overhead, the sounds of cop cars in the background. Oops, helps if I spell things right. Cops in the background and what am I doing? It'll never get my sound effect right if I don't spell things right. Background and a woman gasping. Now, a lot of my sound effects I create myself or I use a system called Soundly. But if it's like a very weird one-off, I use 11 Labs. So I hit generate. Within a matter of seconds, it's going to create roughly what I asked for. And it's pretty quick. You can even do that with like voices. So it gives me 4 different generations of it. Let's see what they sound like. That was weird. That was pretty good. Like that would be usable. But like the sky is literally the limits. Like you could even ask, and you have settings, right? So I have my sound effects down to 8 seconds, but you can choose up to 22 seconds for a sound effect. And then a lot of times you can just loop it if you wanted to. But like, let's say I need an 8-year-old girl saying, "Hi, Link." with an excited voice. Yoink. And then it'll just generate whatever it is. So even if it's like someone saying something, or let's say it was a demon saying something, AI will then generate what it thinks a demon would sound like, or in this case, what it thinks an 8-year-old would say. And sometimes you got to fine tune it, like this is the area they're from. Like if I wanted more of like a UK voice, I'd probably ask for a UK voice.
Hi, Link. Hi, Link. Hi, Link. Bye, Link. Hey, bye, Link. Hi, Link. Hi, Link. Hi, Link. Hi, Link.
So since I've got 8 seconds, it's going to give me multiple generations of different expressions. So just kind of a different way of doing it.
Hi, Link. Here you go, Gate. Hi, Link. Hi, Link.
So this, if you're looking for sound effects, I would say hands down, this is probably the best AI generation. Hands down. Now, if you're looking for like realistic sounds, like not AI generated, there's a system that I use called Soundly. I don't know if I have it on this computer or not. I've got it on my editing computer upstairs. I do. Here's Soundly. So this is what I use for most of my sound effects. It's what a lot of the big companies use. Sounds. So literally you could type any sound in here and it's based on what you have in your directory. So let's say I need rain, right? Like let's say I want a rain background. These are all rain backgrounds. And each one of these will sound different. Let's say I wanted snow, or like a cold winter wind. Here's all my winter winds. So literally the sky's the limits. Now the cool thing is if there's sound effects that you want more Premiere, you can go to add-ons. You can see all the ones that I've added. So like here's free sounds. There's 100,000 free sounds. You don't pay a dime for it. So there's a lot of different ones that are free. I say add all of them that are free. Looks like $15 a month. I don't know how much I pay for this, to be honest. I don't think it's very much. Where do I see where I pay? Oh, there's a voice thing in here too. I forgot about that. You could technically, you can set where you want something to be, right? Like let's say, I completely forgot about this. Like let's say airport, right? An airport announcer. Let's say you want them from the US. Looked at the pricing. Yeah. I don't think it's super expensive. I don't think I pay very much for this. But here's what's cool. Let's say you were creating a video and you need a male voice, right? Like,
can a joke about dinosaurs make you laugh?
All right, like this guy, right? I can choose how I want him to sound. Like, let's say it's a newscast, right? And then this was just preset in there, right? I just hit speak it.
Flight SK-84 to Robot Dystopia is departing in 10 minutes from Gate 10.
So that's like an airport announcer, but like you can choose other things, right? Like let's say it is a police radio.
This is the police walkie-talkie. That's a 10-4. Roger. That's my name. Over and out.
Now here's where it gets really insane. Let's say I wanted to have that same kind of sound, right? But I want to change it up a little bit. So I'm going to go into the place it. Now with the place it, I can choose kind of where I want it. There's some presets, but let's say I want to fine tune a little bit, right? I can go down to where I want it to be. I can have it be in a home, public place, vehicle, outdoors, hallway and stairs, school and workplace, right? Let's say I want it in the home. Well, here's all the different rooms inside a home. Basement, bathroom 1, 2, 3, bedroom, kitchen, living room. Let's say I want it inside a wardrobe. Then I want it to be in the wardrobe with no speaker. So just what it would sound like. Once I've got that set, I go speak
This
it.
is the police walkie-talkie. That's a 10-4. Roger. That's my name. Over and out.
So now it sounds like it would in a wardrobe. But let's say maybe I don't want it in a wardrobe. Let's say I want it in a hallway, stairway. Speak
This
it.
is the police walkie-talkie. That's a 10-4. Roger. That's my name. Over and out.
So in a lot of those videos, when you heard things that were very specific, like if it was like some people's like, where did you get that news broadcast? I created it using this, because what I did was I went to TV in the living room, and sometimes what I would do is pull like an old news script, right? Like news script from the 50s. Like you can find a lot of these news scripts almost anywhere. We're just looking for like a basic script. It doesn't matter what we use for this. Oh, it's going to make me download something. I don't want that. News script. Same way, man. I used to be able to just pull these things from the archive. It's probably because I'm not being specific enough. So let's say I took this, right? Let's say I'm building a segment where there's a TV with news in the background. I would literally take an old script or something, speak it.
Dame Margot Fontaine, who was freed from prison before dawn today, was taken immediately to Document Airport, where she was seen off for the United States by and Mr. Robert Farquharson, First Secretary of the British Embassy, the government.
So then I would just literally bring the volume on that way down, and then I would add like your typical room ambiance noise, which you would get from Soundly. So what you do is you go back to sounds, you go to Soundly, and you do like living room ambiance. Here's a living room. Here's all the living room ambiances, right? So room tone, living room A. And this is literally what a living room would sound like. So you throw that with that TV sound in the back. Or maybe you want one with distant traffic. That's what a living room would sound like with distant traffic. So you can hear like cars moving. The sky's really the limits, but that's where creativity comes into play, right? Like you're telling a story, you want the people to feel like they're there. So you may add like 20 different effects to it. Or like when I'm saying I'm going outside, I'm telling a story where it's outside, right? You do outside ambiance through the daytime. We have all these for daytime. And then it comes down to just really what are you looking for? You're looking for a park? You're looking for a church? Right? Let's say outside ambiance church. Here's all the churches. Maybe some church bell songs. Now, a lot of like the drones and stuff that you hear in my video, I've purchased so many different things on here My collection. Like the one downstairs doesn't have all of mine. All it's got is the Bloody Nightmare. So like here's all the Bloody Nightmare patches I've got. So there's different like death impacts and curses and breaths. Like let's say I go here. Chopper sounds. You hear I use that a lot in my podcast. I just like that sound a lot. You got curses. I'll typically use this kind of stuff in transitions going from one scene to the next. And then you got your drones. Your drones is that background gritty sound. It was March 9th, 1947. Walter walked into the room and he had no clue exactly what he's going to get into that evening, but he felt the presence of something dark. It's like it's meant to be. I didn't even know that was coming up there. But drones is where you use all that stuff. Different drones for different feels depending on what you're going for. EVP. Hard stuff. But this was a purchased pack. You should be on stage. I should probably be in a mental institution, some would say. But all your add-ons, you can, that's where you purchase this stuff. So like, let's say you're looking for like more, let's say like drones and moods. These are all different packs that you could purchase, in which I own some of these. Like you can see, like this wasn't in my stuff, but like I've got the paranormal pack, the scare tactics. And that's just page 1. So like page 2, like there's just stuff for days. And some of the stuff gets expensive, like right there, $255 for that pack alone. It's only got 377 sound effects. $149. Like sound effects get expensive quick. Like a big part of mine's like $100. Like I've probably spent in sound effects at this point. Like here's one. I purchased this one. $100. 516 sounds for Bloody Nightmare. That was the ones you was just listening to. That's what I'm saying. People do not understand the expenses of this stuff. You know, you look at Adobe. I pay $100 a month for Adobe. $100 for freaking AI generated video. 11 Labs, I think, is $30 a month for the level I'm at. Then you add, you know, just basic software. You know, we probably easily spend $300 or $400 a month, not including like this extra stuff that you just randomly purchase because you need it. You know, you need it for like, you know, the Christmas stuff. It adds up so quick. Like it adds up so quick. So when people go, well, why do you know, why don't you put out more? It's like, when? Like how? I'm one guy. Like it's impossible. You show me how. Show me how to improve what I'm doing and make it better. Like just show me. Don't tell me to do it. Just show me how to. You know, most people have teams behind them. I don't. And I'm generating 2 podcasts. 2 podcasts. I do one once a week and another one bi-weekly now. And that doesn't include, like, I don't have anyone researching my stuff. You know, I do all my own research. But like I was showing early, you wasn't quite in the stream yet. You know, for me right now, and this, honestly, this would probably be handy for you too, Link, if you had, and it's free. This doesn't cost a dime, by the way. Notebook LM. Are you using this, Link? Because Notebook LM would probably be vital for you. And it's free, which is the best price possible. So what Notebook LM is when you're doing research, and I'll show you. I'll show you basically how to use it. Let me see here. Where's my YouTube channel stuff at? I don't need this anymore. Oh, here we go. So let's say, because like I say, I took down 130,000 views on my YouTube channels. Some of the old videos that was doing well, they're not performing the way I want them to because they're either old audio or something like that. If I go to content and then I go to visibility, filter, visibility, I want that to be unlisted. So I took off 130,000. These are all the videos that I unlisted. And then what I'm going to do is go back through and recreate them using some of the technology that I have now and doing a better job. So like, let's say I was doing research, or like you're doing research on, let's say, Annabelle the doll, right? I'm just using that as an example. You could go to Notebook LM. You click on Create New, and then you open another window. The Google machine is what I love to use. It's like my bang zone. Let me go to retrace echoes. And then let's say I did something like Annabelle the doll. Now with this information, with Notebook LM, what it does is it takes all the information you receive and it puts it into a place where it's easy to research stuff. So I always start with Wikipedia. Wikipedia is just kind of my bang zone because it gives me everything I need. So you would copy the address, website, insert. What it's going to do is it's going to take that entire article and then it creates it into an easy place that you could get timelines, brief, docs. You could get facts, and then you could technically create a study guide. You could even technically make a podcast if you wanted to. But it's all based on information, so you can have up to 50 different reference points in there. So that's one, right? Let's say, and this doesn't have to be precise, obviously. Raggedy Ann doll. Annabelle. So here's another website that talked about the Annabelle doll, right? Let's say I'm like, yeah, this is a great article and this really goes into what I really want to talk about on the podcast. Control C, add source, website, Control V, insert. Now it's using both of those sources and all the data. Let's say I'm on the YouTube machine and I'm like, you know what? YouTube. Let's say I found a great channel talking about Annabelle the doll. And I'm like, that's a perfect. Let's say it's Sam and Colby and they just gave me information that I couldn't live without, and I want to make sure I add it. I go to share, copy, add source. I can even go to YouTube, paste the URL, insert, and now it will provide that information also in all of this data. Now let's say I've got 25 different reference sources. I can then click on timeline, facts, briefing docs, and it will put all of that information in one place to make it easy for me to create a podcast based on the information. Now, here's the thing. You got to read all the information to make sure that's what you want in your podcast. But like right here is a complete timeline of Annabelle, as well as cast of characters within the story. So now when I'm creating a chronological podcast, here it is. And as you can see, it added all the information. So like Sam and Colby stuff is obviously down here. But let's say I didn't want Sam and Colby stuff in. I would literally just take that part out, right? So I would take that out. I delete this timeline. I click on timeline again because I took the Annabelle from Sam and Colby out. And it's going to recreate one now without that information in there. So then it'll be, but it's all based on the information you put in there, right? Okay, maybe I'm a liar. Maybe you have to completely delete out their segment. So like, I didn't think I had to do that. Maybe I do. Yeah, because it's taking the transcript for their entire video and putting it in there. That's what it's doing. So Annabelle, remove source, delete. So let's say I didn't, apparently you have to take it all the way out. I didn't think you had to do that, but I need this for writing, but yes, you can really use it for anything. But like here's while it's doing that, oh, here we go. So here's a timeline without the Sam and Colby stuff. And then it took it all out. That could be used for the opening packets for, yes, 1000%. And it's all based on whatever you put in there. So like, let's use, for example, like my podcast is maybe more around, let's say, you know, more descriptive history stuff. It would use that as an information thesis. And I use it all the time for that, right? But like here is additional information that it breaks down. So like this was the briefing documents. So like with a briefing document, here it talks about Annabelle, Robert the doll. So it's talking about stuff within the genre of all that. Peggy the doll. So it's kind of giving you a different breakdown of all those. But like here is also additional info. So it kind of breaks down additional information above and beyond. Now, what will really blow your mind? Not that I'll be back in college anytime. You never know, Kels. You never know. Here's another thing. You can click on Deep Dive. It will create an entire podcast with two people talking about the information that you put inside there, whatever it may be, right? Like, let's say it's you know what? Here, let me show you something. I haven't tried this, but I'm curious if it would work. Emily Quinn retraced echoes. Share, copy, exit out. Let's create a new one. YouTube, Control V insert. Why will it not use that? The video could not be imported. Transcript not available. Why would my transcript not be available? Do I not have a transcript in here? More. Why does my video not have a transcript? Oh, here it is. Show transcript. All right, we'll do it the old-fashioned way. Toggle that off. We're just going to copy and paste this bad boy. So it doesn't have to be perfect. So like we go to Notebook. We go to upload a source. Pasted text, so it can even be your own notes if you want. Insert. So there it created the entire thing. Then I can generate here. Let's see if it did the other one on Annabelle. It's still generating. So what it will do, will create a actual podcast. So even if there's like a topic that you want to know more about, but you want to listen to a podcast that's really well generated based on whatever it is, you could even use it for that. You wouldn't have to use it for research. I use it for research because it puts everything in one spot for me. So when I'm writing my scripting, I can base it on the actual information that I provided it with. So good information in, good podcast. If you throw some speculation stuff in there, you're going to get speculation crap in there too. So you got to be really mindful of what you put in there. Let's see here. But the podcasts that come out of this are really good. Like, they're really good quality. And they sound real. Let me remove this because we didn't even use it. Delete. Usually it doesn't take very long. Yeah, know all about speculative info. That's right. But like I showed at the beginning of the podcast, or the beginning of this video stream, that I created one on Lizzie Borden, because I will be doing a Lizzie Borden episode to replace the one that I took off. But like, here's a study information for it. It freaking created a case file for it. Here's the timeline of Lizzie Borden before the hauntings. And then here's like Lizzie thumbs up. And then like here's all the other stuff that goes into it, like a summary, so to speak. But it makes it easy because it's all information in one spot. Still generating those podcasts. After a while, these monitors make my ear itch. But like, I'm currently working on one for the Sally House, the Ammons Haunting. I want to replace some of that old stuff I had. Make it a little bit better. Make it a little bit more new age. It's probably the best way I put it. In between, obviously, all the interviews. We want to continue to do all the interviews as we go also. But that's the thing. It you know, as much as I would love to throw as many interviews in there as I can, I got to make sure that the interviews are high quality too. So, like some people I'll talk to and they won't make it. Or we'll do the interview and it's just not up to what I'm looking for. It's just not up to par. It is not that they did anything bad. It's just not per se what I'm looking for. But in between those weeks where we got those interviews, hopefully we'll have some much higher quality. All right, so here's the Annabelle the Haunted Doll.
All right, everybody, welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking into the lore surrounding the one and only Annabelle doll.
Oh, yeah.
You sent me a Wikipedia article about her, and also this really cool article from a paranormal investigator who actually got to see her at some sort of convention.
Yes.
So we're going to be pulling from both of those sources today.
Sounds good.
To kind of get a whole picture of, you know, what's the real deal here with Annabelle.
Now, remember, it just created that based on the reference material that I put on the side. 2 references. And it created a 26-minute podcast. That sounds good. And it's probably straight and to the point and better than what it should be. Yep. AI. This was from my podcast. So when I was talking to the medium, and here's a podcast that it created on that.
All right, let's dive in. We're exploring psychic mediums today, and specifically through the experiences of Emily Quinn. We've got a whole bunch of her interviews, articles, even some of her books. And we're going to try to figure out not just what she does, but what it all means, you know.
It's really interesting. She approaches it all from a very grounded place. It's not all spooky and theatrical. She's got a deep understanding
Now, I could even go in. It won't let me do it because of I'm using my mic for you guys. But I could go in and add my own segments into that same podcast to provide additional context. But that, again, AI is kind of snore fest occasionally. Well, it depends on how people use it, right? Like I always say, AI cannot create a podcast. It just can't. Like, this is pretty damn close. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, this is pretty damn close.
That spirits experience during their life. She uses meditation to open herself up to communication, but it's not like a constant thing. She have to set boundaries, protect her energy, so she doesn't get overwhelmed. It's not like a phone line that's always open.
So there's a level of control. It's not just spirits constantly bombarding you, but even when you're closed, can you still sense them around? How do you manage those boundaries?
She says, yeah, she can still sense spirits are nearby. Even when she's not actively doing a reading, it's more like a...
So what my thought process is, I do these interviews, I throw it all in here, I let it create a podcast, and then I create a blog that then I attach that to, and people can listen to a summary. The problem with most people is AI does everything. And that's not good. Like, AI can never take the place of a human. It can't. Like, even this, it took 2 hours of an interview that I did with Emily and shrunk it down into 15 minutes. It's not a deep dive, but it's surface level at a very good minimum. And it kind of gives you that context. So it provides an opportunity. But let's say I took someone else's interview and I threw it in there. And then I listened to their podcast, right? Now it gives me a quick summary of basically what was said, and then I can go into it and kind of break it down, you know? So it's like it's a tool. It's like everything else is a tool. It can't create this stuff. A lot of folks drive far for work. They listen to stuff. You best believe, like 100%. And that's the thing. Like, let's say, you know, Dandy House stuff, right? Like, you plug the information that you know is correct in there, you let it create a podcast. But like the Annabelle stuff, it made a 30-minute Annabelle one, 26 minutes.
Striving for.
I think so too, because ultimately it's through that process of critical inquiry, of questioning and exploring that we really expand our understanding of the world and our place within it.
Yeah, and that, I think, is the whole point of doing a deep dive.
I think that's the true value. Yeah. It's not necessarily about coming to definitive answers, but it's about that.
And I would listen to that. On my way to work, I would listen to that 100%. So for me, I use it for like a kind of to put all my thoughts in one spot when I'm creating my podcast, but like it has so many different uses that you could use it for. There's just so much to it. Is the female voice you use AI? Me? Which one? If it's a voice actor, yes, 100%. Any of my videos, if it's female, is generally, unless it's like my wife, it could be like my wife. I do have my wife in some of it. In my podcast, I guess I'd have to know which one you're talking about. If you're talking about Sarah, which, you know, Sarah, a.k.a. Dynamite, that's her real name. Her real name, I can't give her real name. It's like your inch. Oh, no, that was Sarah. So Sarah is Dynamite. Dynamite is a person I've been working with for, goodness, 2015. Technically, inside my Discord. Dynamite. This person right here, that voice that you're hearing, that's that person right there. Hey, Vicky. Dynamite is Sarah. That's not a real name. Dynamite's not a real name, and Sarah's not a real name. But she's a very private person. She's super cool person. She also does she doesn't do it anymore. She was doing a lot of my social media stuff. So like anything that had to do with YouTube, she was handling that. She was creating some of the shorts for a little while, but then she got busy with other stuff. Vicky, you came in right at the end. I was about to plug this thing up. I was about to finish everything up. I've been stramming for 3.5 hours. But yeah, she did a lot of the stuff. She's not really a part of the podcast. That's why you've not really heard her voice in the last, goodness, I don't know, 3 months probably. She just has too much stuff going on. She works for a living too. Yeah, it's probably been 2 or 3 months. Super cool person though. Her imagery is not her. Anything that said anything, she's a very private person. Anything that was imagery was not her. But yeah, Dynamite handled a lot for a while, but with work schedules and everything else, she couldn't do it. And I understand it. Listen, when you're working for free for someone, it's a very, very selfless job. And it was nothing, nothing that she did at all. It's just like everything else. When I can give stuff to people to do and they can handle some stuff on their own, it's a little bit easier, but, they can't do it for free. Yeah, I gave you guys a lot of info with a lot of different things and kind of how production is. You have an idea of how this stuff is created, what goes into it. I get a lot of questions of how do you create your podcast? What do you use? And then we kind of flipped around to ghost hunting equipment, a little bit of everything. What kind of my mindset? I wouldn't mind doing these maybe like once a month or something. Thank you for the information. Hey, at least I do. You put some information out there and who knows? Who knows? Might generate some ideas and concepts for others on down the road, on down the road, you know what I mean? But I'm glad to do it. I wouldn't mind doing this like maybe once a month. Find something that, I kind of want to trigger around. It provides, if anything, some ways for people to look at things and think, you know what, let's try doing that. Or maybe I can try to piece this together. Or, maybe we can try to incorporate this in what we do. I wouldn't advise going into the expensive stuff like I do. That's probably not wise. Don't do that. But maybe just give a couple different variances and try to give people different ideas on how to roll things. Maybe like once or twice a month. But hopefully y'all enjoyed it. It's been an absolute pleasure running into everybody this evening. I want to thank everyone for stopping by who did stop by. I don't ever live stream, so I don't think most people know to even look for me to do that. But hopefully y'all have an amazing rest of your weekend. Until I see y'all in the next video or the next stream, your boy's out. See you later. Goodbye.